District. First item on our agenda today is roll call. Mr. Perez.
Here.
Mr. Cordova.
Here.
Mr. Gagnon.
Present.
Mr. Comas Jr.
Present.
Mr. Edgecombe. Michael, are you still on the phone or are you on mute, baby?
I know, I heard him, but.
Okay. All right, with that, we can go for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item is public comment period. This is the time for any audience members who'd like to make any comments. We'd ask that you please approach the podium if you'd like to. Please state your name and address, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes, and we'll go first come first.
So again, 2795 in Mirabella. I was just wondering how much was the initial cost of the gate, and how much more would it put into the gate before we could use the gate? It's been 5 months, 6 months.
Okay.
And as it's nickel and diamonds, you know, I see there's another, what, $9,000? Did you guys want them okay? You know, it's bleeding us to death.
It's up to the board. This isn't just a general statement. It's not a question and answer session. The board
I
has
know
discussion.
that.
Okay, you don't.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, sir. Yeah, just letting the board know. If you want to address it later on in the meeting or now, it's up to you. Okay.
Any other audience comments at this time? All right. Hearing none, we can go on to the agenda. Peter, are you on the call tonight? Yeah, I didn't hear from Peter. I don't know that he's still coordinating those RFPs because of the timing. They wouldn't have had those done for tonight anyway. So if you have any questions or comments for him, obviously later, or things we can relate to him, we'll get those to him. With that, we can go on to business matters. The first item we have under business matters is we've got both the recreation rules as well as the parking rules. These were formulated based on your comments from the last meeting. I do want to point out that we've set the rulemaking hearing for your next meeting, which is November 14th. With that, we can obviously take these one by one, take any additional comments or changes from the board. Kind of our role when the advertisement goes out here in a few days, we should have a set of rules that we can show people, place on your website. That doesn't mean they have to be in final form. You can still make changes to them. We just have to have whatever the current set of rules you guys are discussing at the time, so folks can have time to take a look at it and comment.
Exactly. So a couple things just that I would want to bring up and get your feedback on, and we can adjust the rules to reflect your decision. I renamed Rule Chapter 1 the recreation facility so that this would cover everything: the clubhouse, the fitness center, the pool, the grills, the playground, everything. After I finished this, I thought, well, it may be helpful to add the fee for breaking the gate. If someone wants through the gate, the penalty. I think there's a monetary value of $250 that we have right now. That's posted on the sign up front, but it would help if we went through, we're already going to have a public hearing. So if we go through that process, we can include the fine or fee in this rule as well. Okay, so.
And those fines, I know we have on the front $250, but does include the labor and parts, or that's the fine plus labor and then the legal fees?
So let's do basically with the sign, if it's $250, and then we'll put something like plus related costs.
Correct, because $250 just the arm is like almost $700. So.
Okay, and so the intent of that would be not for the CDD to make a profit,
No.
but so that we're reimbursed for any costs
Correct.
related to the wrongdoing of driving through the gate.
Correct, and
Yeah,
plus
just
we
have
covering
to-
any legal fees that that also
to recuperate from that.
Correct.
Okay, so is that
But
consensus
does the
from the
fine
board?
have to be limited at $250?
I think that's what the sign is up front, but no.
So it's just not to buy another sign, we want to keep it that way?
We've seen some of our districts will do minimum of 250 plus fees. And then if it's higher, so you've got those arms with the LED strips now, which may be higher. If they break the LED strips, we need a whole new arm versus just reattaching it. So you can make it a fee of minimum of 250 or actual costs plus staff costs.
Yeah, I defer to council to figure out the wording on that, but I think
Okay.
that we need to word it in a way that we're covered no matter what damages are.
For the entire amount of damages.
Exactly.
Legal fees, any
That-
costs
that's the goal.
affiliated,
Yeah.
okay.
Correct.
Understood.
Yeah.
So I'll put that in the language. We have to send this out for advertising. I think it's the 14th, 13th, 14th.
Well, we've already, part of the advertisement doesn't include the rules, so we're advertising the hearings. The rules are available at our office, so
Okay.
as long as we have them.
By the time
By the time
that
that
advertisement
goes
goes
out.
out. Okay. All right, so we'll do that, and then you'll see that language, and that will also be reflected in the next agenda, so folks have an ability to come and give public comment on
Yeah.
what they think is appropriate for that fee too. Okay, and then if you're okay with it, I will rename Rural Chapter 1 to district facilities, since
Yeah.
we're trying to encompass any property that's owned by the CBD or infrastructure that's owned by the CBD, okay? And then another thing I noticed as I was reviewing these and adding comments that were requested by the board, let's see, the number of guests per lot.
Mhm.
We have in one section on page 10, section 4 of that policy, it says, the guest section, it says, no more than 4 guests are permitted per lot, but then if you look at like the fitness center, I think it says.
One.
It says 1 guest per lot in the fitness center, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
how
because the
many
fitness
people-
center is so small.
Okay.
Imagine everybody just bringing, 4 guests and it's gonna be limited space.
Okay, just want to make sure I got all of that correct in here. So we want the fitness center for 1.
Everywhere
The
else.
pool is 4.
4
Okay,
per lot.
I can't find it right now, but I thought there was a place where homeowners was used instead of lot.
No, it was that. It was saying homeowner or resident.
So it was updated?
Yeah. So now it's updated as per lot.
yeah, so we've defined lot. I added a definition for lot, and then I clarified homeowner. So homeowner, as it's used, is going to be an owner or a lessee or rentor of any lot located within the district. So I defined all of those words.
So these rules, they're already fixed.
Okay.
And then on this one, do you finish, council?
Yes, that's, I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure that that looked okay to you all, those couple of changes.
The only thing, I think I sent it to you, Jason, the fees, the deposit. I don't know if we mentioned it before, if $300 is enough, or if, I think I mentioned it 500.
Yes.
Just to, right now, everything here is kind of, anyone breaks anything or something, is 300 pretty much doesn't do, a lot on it. And then also the amount of guests I see here, I'm pretty, I like it the way that it was between 1 to 25 to 250, 3 hours, doesn't look bad. But the maximum guest here is 70. So
Yeah.
by our rules, so
Yeah,
We
this
have to
may
change
just-
it
yeah, this
for-
may have just been the original, so I did, yeah, the version I've got in my file, I did up it to 500 if the board's okay with that deposit. And then, yeah, we reduced the 75 to 70.
because I calculated on the hourly, so it's more than $75, so it's better this way. And some people obviously get, 2 hours or 3. I think that's the only issue that I saw.
And again, we'll do the same thing we did prior, so once we get them in final form, based on the comments tonight, not only will they be available on your website, we'll send them out to the board so that you have some more time between now and the hearing to really work through those. So, any other comments on that set of rules?
Page 3, the lost access cards. What is our cost of those cards? We're charging $25. I want to make sure that we're on the right end of that. So
Yeah,
if we're giving out
I
extra.
think they're less than 20 right now.
Okay. I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
we're on the right end of it. We're not losing money over cards.
Yeah, and if at any point we get upside down, we'll bring that to the board's attention so that we can revise those.
I think if we buy them by bulk, it should be,
Yeah.
it should be
Yeah.
good.
That's all I have. Nothing really stood out for me. Everything looks good.
And then you'll see too, we've got the last page of the new district policy. There's a special event agreement.
Yeah.
Which is based on that Over Oaks form, so I think that's going to be a great thing to have. It's got the full indemnification, it's got a waiver of liability to the CDD, acknowledgement of other statutory requirements too, so I think that's a good thing to protect the CDD with.
Then the next one we have would be the discussion of the proposal.
Oh,
Yep,
one.
sure.
On page 8, the one before the last, that it mentioned 2 guests per lot, but then on page 10, it mentioned 4. Is that the one that you were discussing that is like kind of,
Right, let's see, so,
It's where it says clubhouse.
yes, this would be just for the clubhouse, but, I mean, folks are renting the clubhouse, there's gonna be more guests at the clubhouse during the special event, but,
But I think
this
this
is
one-
envisioned just for just straight clubhouse use, strict clubhouse use.
But I think this one, it should be the same amount of 4 per lot, yeah.
Okay, do you want 4 too? Okay, everybody wants 4, okay.
Yeah, because then it's gonna make it, yeah. So it should be 4 for all the property of, pool, clubhouse, and then the gym is gonna be just 1, yeah.
Perfect, okay, we'll make sure that that's clear in here too.
Anything else on the recreation?
on page 9, can you describe what is crawling? On the 4th paragraph, loitering or crawling.
Okay, so this would be someone kind of like,
Is that prowling?
kind of stalking,
Stalking.
just standing idly, circling, watching, that's what loitering is. It's actually, there's a Florida statute that prohibits it. So someone that's just, I'm just walking around here, watching the pool, looking, stalking.
Brawling a club attendant, brawling a district member, brawling a guest.
It could be anyone. It could be just, I'm walking outside suspiciously in a stalking manner. We can pull up.
The definition from dictionary.com is move around restlessly and stealthily, especially in search of or as in search of prey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much it's just another word for stalking. Yeah, like you said, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a second-degree misdemeanor in Florida.
Yeah, we saw here that happen a few times.
Okay, so it's the act of remaining in a particular public place for a protracted period of time without any apparent purpose. We can take that out if we want. There is already a Florida statute that prohibits it, but in the event that we have someone that's causing an issue, we can also look to our rules and potentially suspend them from using the facilities.
We're just looking for further description. We have to be careful of what we include there, because a lot of people take things the wrong way.
Can we add that on the meanings, so people know what it meant, definition.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
we can take I can look for the statutory definition here, and we'll put it in there. I'm looking at the statute section. It's unlawful for any person to loiter or prowl in a place at a time or in a manner not usual for law-abiding individuals under circumstances that warrant a justifiable and reasonable alarm or immediate concern for the safety of persons or property in the vicinity. So I can look to see how we can break that down and put that in our definition section.
I just have an example. If somebody has a party here, a resident, and somebody comes from the outside that knows that the resident lives here, and they come trying to look for any kind of problems, is that would be crawling?
No, that's,
You need to be hiding.
And I
That's
think
a
we
premeditated,
need to look at it on a case-by-case basis, really, as to what the situation is. But I would say that it's also illegal under Florida law, so if there was a real suspicion that anyone had, we would encourage them also to call 911. We're just basically mirroring the law with respect to their loitering and prowling.
so the problem is really like if the resident is engaged in normal legal activities within our confines, and let's say another homeowner, a stranger, or anyone is kind of parking themselves strategically, taking pictures and trying to make something negative out of nothing, that's kind of a problem, right?
Yeah.
I think it's really going to be a case-by-case basis that it would be looking at that. But I can look more into it and report back to the board on some specific examples when the courts have found a cause of action for loitering or prowling. But for right now, we will take a definition from the statutes
Yeah,
as well.
but that's
Put it
good.
in there.
Too hot.
And then on service animals, I remember that we mentioned that apparently they don't need to have any kind of paperwork anymore to have a.
I was also surprised. That's correct. So there's no particular certification that's needed, and there's also some restrictions about what we're able to ask. So I've sent that information over to Jason. I can share that with you too. But that's correct. They have to meet this requirement only.
And I know we mentioned service animal, but you know, you got two different ones. You got the service animal, you got the emotional support.
That's right.
So how you can identify which one is service animal? They're supposed to have a vest on, right? Or no?
Nope, I'm not sure if
Because
there's
usually
a
I saw all the
requirement
service
under
animal, they're supposed to have a vest. The support ones, no.
Yeah, so
Either have to have a vest, and then we should identify.
I think the only thing you're really allowed to ask them is what the pet does for them, right?
Correct.
Or
You can, I think, yeah, we're very limited as staff on what we can ask, and I think you're correct. I think it's, how does your pet work for you, essentially? And that's about all we can ask.
Because I think some of these grocery stores now, I think Publix or something, they put in that only service animals.
Right.
You cannot have a support animal, you know.
And I think because they're a private facility,
Yeah.
they have a little more flexibility in what they can and can't do.
that's right. So this is saying,
the statute does talk about emotional support animals not having the same.
that's right. So I did include emotional support animals in here because that's more so in the context of like housing and private facilities. So I'm only recommending to put a provision in here for the service animals,
Correct.
which they could also be assisting someone with a psychiatric disorder or disability or something like that. So this will cover us with regard to animals in general. Now, like I had said before, we are not permitted to ask about the nature or extent of an individual's disability. The CBD, we may ask if an animal is a service animal required because of a disability and ask what work or tasks the animal has been trained to perform. I can provide this, I'm reading right out of the statute, I can provide that to you later. So I did send that to Jason so that he's aware and conscientious of the restrictions that we have as a public entity about what we are able to request. There's no certification, there's no document that we can ask to see a copy of, but GMS could ask these questions.
Okay, so for example, so anyone can come with a, let's say, a pit bull, right? And say that's my service animal and that's it. Then, I'm just putting drastic,
So what we would be able to ask is if the animal is a service animal required because of a disability and what work or tasks the animal has been trained to perform.
Okay.
We can ask that. We can say, is this a service animal because of a disability? And we can say, okay, and what work or tasks has your animal, the pit bull, been trained to perform?
Yes. I'm just trying to figure out, like, when we have security, what they can do,
Right, right.
And the animal has to be under the control of the individual, and can't be barking.
Yeah, it still has to
can't
follow
be
the rules of being on a leash.
All
It
those
can't be-
things can,
Yep.
let us allow them to leave, and if the animal's just acting wild and scaring people. So those are part of the rules. I'm looking at this, rules for special events, I'm sorry to go back, but I looked at a couple of things, I don't think I got this far before, but on number 1, it says that applicants shall provide sanitary facilities in accordance with applicable regulations and reasonable requirements of the CDD. Now, that implies to me that we're allowing them to bring porta potties at some point.
Where are we at?
That's on,
Additional rules and regulations for special events. I think it's, let me see. I lost
So
it.
last
well,
page.
on the agenda, it's on page 17.
I think this is from the other CDD because there was a requirement that they had in place that the CDD could require the applicant to get porta potties if it was an event, like an event with 51 to 75 or 70 guests. So if you don't want that, if you don't want to have the discretion to require them to get their own porta potties, if there was like
I mean, I think if we should put if applicable or something along those
Yeah,
lines.
correct.
I just feel that we're implying that no one's gonna get access to the bathrooms here for any event, and I don't like that. Then the other one is number,
So do we want to say their app was discretion based on size of event, or do you want to just say all, I mean, basically, if
applicable.
you have that 51 to 70 guests, then it's at the board's discretion if we're going to, you want to just put it at the board's discretion.
I mean, the board normally doesn't get the opportunity to weigh in on each special event. I think it should be up to the manager's discretion.
Yeah, because the
If
board
porta potties
can,
are required, right? Because if someone's renting the outside space, I can see requiring them to have a porta potty out there or something like that. But if they're renting this space, the
Okay,
bathrooms are right
okay.
there, you can't say you can't use those bathrooms.
but I think it should be
Let's put it to
between
that.
manager, I
Or if
don't know.
applicable, for manager's discretion, something along those lines.
Because it can be any type of event, and then if the manager thinks that it's best to have it, then
Or
he can,
applicant may be required.
yeah.
Then I read another one here that says something about them not being able to use the utilities or water here. Where is it? Applicant shall, number 10, says applicant shall not use the CDB's utilities, electric, water, reuse, wastewater for any purpose without previous consent of the CDB. If we're renting the facility, we should be able to use the water and electric.
Yeah.
But I think that's why you're signing, right? That's why you're signing that, you are requesting the permission, right? No?
Yeah, but
but
this
this
rules
is-
are saying that they can't.
Shall not, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is also language from that other CDD where the events were on a larger scale, like
Gotcha.
weddings with 200 people.
Yeah.
and So they were trying to plan ahead for things like that. Like
Okay.
having a band, using electric.
Yeah, I think those kind of things, they can be taken on a first come, first served,
I agree.
as is basis by management.
Yeah,
Okay, so you want to just remove that entirely or as is by
I
management?
think just,
Remove
Yeah.
it.
Whatever he just is best.
yeah,
It's not
remove, that one
On
remove,
this
yeah.
facility, okay.
Yeah. Who's that?
Now, the alcohol thing, it seems like one rule says there'll be no sale or service of alcohol on CD property, and then there's another rule that says it's at the discretion of the board. Now, have we ever had any events here where people were allowed to use alcohol?
Yeah, that's why we rent the place.
I don't see in the prior.
Rules say no
Yeah, I don't, now whether it was enforced or not is a different story, but for insurance purposes, the prior board may have adopted that based on insurance recommendation.
So what are the insurance, restrictions on that?
well, typically if you have an event like this where you have alcohol, the folks that are bringing any alcohol have to get an additional insurance, and name the district. There's some a special alcohol insurance that you have to obtain, which would be an additional cost as a renter.
To the renter,
Yeah.
not to us.
Correct.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and you also could be opening yourself up, because if you're at the facility and you're permitting the alcohol, that could open you up for some additional liability, even if they're providing. Because you're
Yeah.
allowed.
So on the other facility that you do, they don't have alcohol?
Most of my facilities, it's straight, no alcohol.
so the question is there any facility that allows alcohol? Is there any?
We have had some where they allow it, but they only allow it when somebody is there like you have to bring a vendor in that's a bartender,
Hit the
you
nail.
have to have a license, insurance, and it's an extra fee. Who
That's-
else is on the call?
Somebody should mute themselves. Keep conferencing.
Yeah, I mean,
So
maybe what we, if you're interested in that, I think it probably is worth Jason just reaching out to the insurance carrier and
Correct.
finding out.
So I'm not interested in it, but what I'm trying to say is we have a rule that says up to the discretion of the CDD board, and then we have another rule that says you can't do it at all. So it has to be consistent, so either we remove the you cannot do it at all and add something that says that, you
Where's the
know,
other one?
that-
That it says yes.
there's one at the top, I think, that says, I saw it earlier. It's not in the same section.
Okay, it's right here, on page 14, it says alcoholic beverages are not permitted unless approved by the board.
Correct. And
So
then
that's-
further down, it says they're not allowed at
Yeah,
all.
so that one has to be, you know,
So, I mean, we
That's
can't.
right, okay.
So I think, I mean, if you want to look into it, that's fine. I personally don't have a problem with people bringing in alcohol as long as they have a licensed bartender, they have the right insurances, and they have security here to make sure that if anything goes wrong, the police can be called in a timely fashion before things get out of hand.
and obviously the CDD not liable for anything.
Correct. Indemnification and all the I's and T's, if we're gonna go that route as a board, I'm saying,
Yeah.
but if we're not, then just get rid of the top one and just make it no alcohol
No
allowed
alcohol.
across the board.
Correct.
I think we need to know kind of what your preference and direction is so that we can grab that as a
So
board.
I don't know, you guys can verbalize.
Well, let's not put ourselves at risk.
So you said no,
No,
then probably no. So
no.
that's a good point, then take away the top one, then that says, it's at discretion of the board, then. That's over. Planning for my 60th birthday, but that's a while away.
Anything else on facility?
Yeah, page 14, the third paragraph. Can you explain what that means?
The what?
What?
Page 14, third paragraph.
Third paragraph.
Other than provide,
Yes.
Yeah, so again, this was designed for like larger scale events, but this would be something if you're gonna have, I don't know, an election party or something like that, and you're gonna be picketing outside as part of your event, protesting, this is going to,
If you're on the phone, can you please put yourself on mute?
this is going to require that those protests be peaceful.
okay.
So, yeah, so we had this issue come up here before, and my understanding is that the law does not allow the CDD to stop residents from picketing or protesting as long as they do it peacefully.
Right.
Okay.
If you're gonna be on CBD property. So this would just be something we're requesting when they're renting the space, the clubhouse.
Oh, so this is just for when they rent the space,
Okay.
not
Just
the changing.
renting the space.
But like if anyone wanna do like a peaceful picketing, they can do it with no issue due to.
That's actually a good point. We should probably clarify that in our rules, especially because this is gonna govern district facilities and then also like election signs as
Mhm.
well on district property, because that's always an issue of
We
whether
typically
it's
don't
gonna
allow-
pick 'em up.
But yeah,
We don't allow any signs on
No.
CDD.
Yeah, but we might as well put them in this rule now. We might as well clarify that in this rule.
So no CDD allow election signs?
Not on CDD property, but if you put it on HOA property, that'll be up to the HOA. If it's on homeowner property, that falls to the, but we don't allow it on CDD property.
Yeah, and I think that there's an Osceola County code.
Yeah.
I know, Osceola County doesn't allow it on their right of way either, so.
but like if
That's
anyone
weird.
wanna stand, you know, on the sidewalk and hold the sign, they can do it, you know,
Yes.
if they do it peacefully. Okay.
So let me just give you the whole example. If there is any meeting here, can anybody come here with a sign and put a sign there and complain about any meeting that is going on in the CDD or HOA?
Put a sign on CBD.
Have a sign there.
No, he's saying if somebody comes to the meeting, one of the residents, and they wanna hold a sign, I hate Mario, is that okay? Is that allowed?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's freedom of speech.
We're talking about
As long
like
as
putting
it's not-
signs into the ground and.
Physically attached to the property.
Okay.
Okay, So we
Don't
good.
get any ideas, guys.
Put me down for the next meeting.
It happens before, so anyways. Page 15, on the user fees that we have here. Personal opinion, I believe it's kind of steep. It was 25 per hour, now it's gonna be 83 on the first, then it's gonna be 117 and then 150. I believe that we have this place and we should rent it out and try to get income from it. So I don't know what the board position is on that. 3 times the price, all of a sudden it is a lot.
But it's not a lot, it's just been so long. You know, we take in, every time somebody rent this place, we go on rent. Every time, so we have to overpay for you renting this place.
Also, we need to take into consideration inflation. Everything's
Yeah.
expensive nowadays. We've been charging $25 an hour for as long as I've been here, so at least 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a nice facility that people have the ability to rent. And I personally, I had mentioned this before, but I think the board didn't support that, is I think that the fee should be based on what type of event is being held. If it's somebody's birthday, it should be cheaper than if it's somebody's wedding. You understand? Because it involves more stuff to be done and more risk to and more usage of the facility. But I think you guys came up with that, and I think it's fair. If you're having, 225 to 50 guests,
Yeah.
350 doesn't sound to me to be excessive at all. Right now, most venues will be over $1,000 anywhere else.
Yep.
For that kind
Minimum,
of party.
yeah.
What would you suggest?
Well, it was 25 before. I think we can entertain the idea to go to either 60, 65, 75 at the most. And it doesn't matter how many people are inside the activity. Because we need to have the income, if it's possible, out of this facility. If not, nobody's gonna rent it out. In my opinion.
Yeah, last time I put the 75, per hour, but I saw this and pretty much, it was for me.
I think we should
it
keep
looked
this
good.
for a year and see how it goes. If
Yeah.
our revenue does decrease, like Mr. Comas
Yeah.
is saying, then we can always go back.
And so now doing the
Or,
research.
or can we use, instead, do we have to put the exact fee in here?
You do.
You do.
But at the public hearing, you can adjust that.
Right.
You'll hear comments from the public, and then you can say, okay, after we've thought about it, we're gonna do $25 an hour. So,
Is that the residence fee?
That's, only residents are allowed to rent here, yeah.
But yeah, you can certainly make adjustments to that, between now and the hearing or at the hearing itself.
Okay, I don't have anything else.
Any other comments on the recreation facility?
Nope.
Then we'll make adjustments to that, and we can go on to the parking. We did hand out to you, and this is a kind of a color map that we gave on everybody's desk. This would be a draft of the exhibit B that will get attached to these rules. So obviously, red is no parking and green is parking. I think we found a little spot we're going to adjust on it based on some discussion earlier. But other than that, we can take a look at those rules and again take any questions, comments, or changes before we get those rules advertised.
So on section 3, I think I sent you that correction on A that it
Yeah.
says it's only permitted on one side, the district, except Siesta View, Camino Real, and Via Palma Lane.
Yeah.
So that to be edited. And
Florencia Drive was also mentioned. What is that?
on the, hold on, where is it permitted? Oh, wait, it says,
yeah, this is just rough language based on discussion, but we're gonna need to iron that out.
yeah, but that one,
So
the
3A is where we're at. We're trying to iron out this language.
correct, it just they added a street that is a no parking one, but they put it as is able to park in both sides. The Via Palma Lane. Because suddenly you keep reading, it said, in addition, no street parking is permitted at Via Palma, right?
Yeah.
So which one is correct? Is it
The bottom one,
Okay.
yeah.
So it just needs to be removed from the.
From the top,
sentence?
correct.
Okay.
And
Is
then,
everything else in that first sentence correct?
Yep, so far, yes.
And then I knew that you all were working on, I know Joe's team was working on them now.
We handed that.
Oh, you did, oh, okay, okay. Okay, we're just trying to provide as much specificity as possible to residents. There was a lot of concern about the 50-foot roadway issues.
So just for clarification, still no parking on Via Palm Lane.
Correct, that's, and then on section 4.6, since we decided just to go one side of the road, then the one, the parking permit that I was talking about, I think had to be removed, charging the 50.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I thought that there was some discussion of commercial vehicles only having the parking permit.
Correct. But I
Okay,
think
I
those,
think we're just gonna remove, I think we decided to remove it altogether. Was
That's what
correct.
we're gonna do.
But the permit for the commercial vehicle then is with management, so they have up to whatever, 7 days, maximum to park. That's, let's say they moving out or, doing something, they have up to 7 days.
Yeah, we have to have supervision of people that are moving, people getting repairs on their houses. Then, you have a rule here where no vehicle bearing a for sale sign. Do we have jurisdiction to forbid that?
On the roads, yes.
Really?
There's CDD on roads, so we can do that. We can't say the speed
Yeah, but
limit
it's
is
their
50
private property.
miles per
I
hour.
didn't think we could.
The CDD roads are not private property, they're public property. But
Correct,
they
but I'm
can put
saying the
anything in the
vehicle is
driveway.
private property. I didn't think we can dictate what they put in their vehicle.
They can put anything on their driveway. We can take that out if you want.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's up to these guys. I don't think it should be there.
Yeah, I think this was from the last board. I didn't put that in. That's just a carryover. We
And
can
then I
take
believe
that
I
out.
saw I saw here, I don't know how to.
But that one in the other CDDs, do they have that?
I actually haven't seen
No.
that before.
No. Okay, so if you have not seen it, yeah.
And then you have another rule here that says that a vehicle is deemed abandoned if they haven't been moved in 72 hours. That's pretty rough. It could be a holiday weekend.
I've also not seen that. That's from the prior rule that was adopted. So you want to take that out?
I wouldn't want to, yeah.
Is there
I
any?
would read
I-
the fine.
Huh?
I would read the fine.
So what would be the right amount of time?
I think 5 days, right?
Yes, I was about to ask you that, Chris. Define abandoned.
I think the idea is that if the tags are expired, if the car's not registered with the state and there's abandoned cars or just cars that aren't being used to drive, that aren't registered, that do not have current tags, piling up on the roadways, I think that's the that's the vision behind the word inoperable or abandoned, is to give us some rights to move those cars. But again, this was the language from the prior rule, so it's totally up to the board.
Inoperable and abandoned, I think it's very different.
Yeah.
Because abandoned is, to me, abandoned is a vehicle that is parked on the street that no one really knows who it belongs to, and it's just been there unmoved.
Because that happens. It's a lot of people,
There's
they
no
come
taking
here.
ownership of the vehicle, that's bad.
A lot of people, they come from the airport, they put the vehicle here, they leave, and they leave the car here.
I was gonna ask
For
you,
parking.
how can we prevent that? That's been a very big problem, especially down Florencia.
And
That may have been why the prior board put the 72-hour rule.
Yeah.
so that's something that I think the 5 days, and make sure that the towing company, they can just mark it, when they come and do the rounds,
Does the towing company have the ability to run a tag and know if the person lives here now?
No.
No.
They only run it if they're
So
doing a bad.
how do we enforce something like that, of
We-
people coming in here?
We cannot, the rules are public. We cannot say only residents can park here.
Yeah.
So that's perfectly allowed, for people to go to the airport on a move from here to their car here.
If they're parked in accordance with your rules, yes.
But if it's the
Yeah,
that
that's-
may very well have been why they put that 72 hours in.
I have a question on what you just mentioned about that the towing company doesn't run the tax of the vehicles. They have the ability to do that.
They have the ability to run the tags and see if it is registered, but they've never not gonna go, oh, this is the homeowner, they don't.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's what they were saying, so they do, and are supposed to run tags before they pull anything with like vehicle registration issues or anything like that.
Because we have the situation in the past, there was a vehicle here that was registered all the way to Davenport. The vehicle was in front of a residence house for a week. So at that point, we contacted the sheriff's office, they came, they run the tag and said, that vehicle is not even registered in this county. So you have the right to tow away, and the vehicle was towed away. But the tag was current.
But can we do that?
We have to evaluate what was, you know, I mean, we have to look at
If
what.
the sheriff's office says you can tow it, you've got authority to tow it. They're the law enforcement, so they would have that ability.
Just because it's another county?
I don't believe that your tow vendor would enforce anything on this, because it's not gonna be the same tow person. They're not gonna remember that 3 days ago this car was here.
So brings us to
This is more of a,
Security person.
it gives you some rule that you can enforce something.
in my opinion, there should be no rule that's not enforceable, because then there's no point.
This is enforceable by the sheriffs. I mean, that's who you call for an abandoned vehicle.
Yeah.
And they would do just what you said. They'd run the plates and try to determine where the owner is. And
Yeah, I mean, the prior rule had defined an abandoned vehicle, any vehicle that has not been moved for 72 hours.
You know how many vehicles here have been moved?
72 hours.
Right, and that's just, I mean, I agree that, you know, if you wanted.
I would suggest
Go
5
back
days
for
at
less
least.
goals.
I would say 5 days, and then if we get security patrol that they can tackle that, because in here is a lot of people, they're just doing that, and they just having cars all over park just to have it.
And one thing too, I know that this board has thought about, I think we've contacted the vendor about the idea of a warning first. I think the vendor is willing to put a warning, is the vendor willing to put a warning?
we had a meeting and it, not real.
I just think we're setting ourselves up for a lot of badness with these kind of rules, because now, if I have a car in front of my house, and it's there for 3 days, and I decide to go to Walmart in my car and bring it back, and no one saw me move the car, now they want to tow my car because they didn't see me move it?
Yeah.
You understand? It's just, to me, it's a
Like I
rule
said,
that, to me, is futile.
I don't believe your tow vendor is ever going to enforce that.
That's what I'm saying, so why have it?
So if it cannot be enforced, then, yeah.
Well, I mean, you can call your, I mean, you can direct GMS to call your
Correct.
tow vendor tomorrow if you've noticed a car.
Okay.
It's just
Right.
we open ourselves to liability if we're directing the tow company to tow, and we don't have proof that that car has been sitting there for greater than 72 hours.
That's the problem I have.
So if you want, I mean, maybe to avoid an issue that I described before is not registered, does not have current tags, do we want to tow in that instance?
I know I
Do we want
got,
5 days? Do we want
preview.
5
No,
days?
I like the expired tag, the no tag, you know, if the vehicle is not legally allowed to be in the street, should it be parked in here? That's a given, and that the tow company can enforce, they've been doing it. But I'm just thinking this whole circumstantial thing of whether or not you moved the car or not, and no one can prove it, it's a problem.
Yeah. One of the towing companies that I talked to, they said to do something like that, they have to take a picture, timestamp, then come back in the next day, make sure, or the third day, whatever the rule says.
Yes.
But the towing company has to be able to do it. If not,
Yeah, but even then, what if that person goes to Walmart for 10 minutes and brings the car back? You can't, you miss that.
well, you gotta have a picture exactly how the car was parked. So you gotta park it exactly how it was.
Dude, if that's,
Nah, just go with the expired tag and no plates.
Well, I think we said we would mention.
I think that's a very bad rule.
It sounds like we still want that.
All right,
So
so
just, you know, we can put it as a question mark just to take it out, but in here, a lot of people from outside, they've been using it.
Okay.
And that's to protect the residents, but if
Well,
you don't like it, you know.
And I will say that I do have other districts where they do have the thing about inoperable vehicles.
Yeah.
So if there's a flat tire and that car's been there for 4 days,
Yeah,
that's inoperable
Yeah.
vehicle. That's clearly fits what you're looking for from
Correct.
this one. So
Like I said, I think we're trying to avoid vehicle storage,
correct.
right? So
You
even
should just
homeowners
say we can't
who
restrict that.
even homeowners that are here are taking up parking spots on our streets for vehicles that clearly we would say never move or very, very, very rarely move. And that's what we're trying to hinder, like, we're not a parking lot, right?
Right.
It should be used as that, what we describe it as your daily car, not something that's your, antique that, you know, sits on the road or something like that. And that's kind of what we're trying to avoid. So I don't know if you can think of a way to
Okay,
kind of wordsmith it, but that's our intent.
yeah, between Jason and I think we can
Yeah.
pull up some other rules and see, maybe even talk to, I mean, well, maybe there's a city that's enforced that, and what did that rule look like?
I think in all fairness, with the restriction on parking as we're planning to do here, parking's gonna be
Less, yeah.
pretty well sought, and people are gonna have the propensity to bring extra cars and block people from parking in front of their houses. That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know,
So anyway, we can discuss the language, and like you said, by
Okay.
November 14, if not, then,
Yeah,
you know,
and then,
we both.
I also want to make sure that the board is comfortable with keeping the current tag and
Yes,
registration.
yes.
There was an incident where we were requested to reimburse for a tow based on an individual that it appears had, it was waiting for the tag.
The sticker. So
The
the
sticker.
sticker was, I believe the sticker expired in July. The tow was made in September. His claim was that the sticker was in the mail.
But how? That take,
That's, we researched it, the vendor said, we're not refunding the money, we looked at the rules, it appears it was in accordance with the rules, so I have no flexibility.
and this is the issue with parking and towing rules, right? Is because of that, right? If you have a police officer behind you, he runs the plate. Even if your sticker's expired, if you have a valid registration in the system, he's gonna leave you alone. You might have not physically had the ability to put that sticker on it, which I think a couple of residents here have complained about that the sticker was in the glove compartment and they just never got around to putting it on and they got towed.
Well, it's their fault.
Yeah.
That's
So
all
it's,
them.
you know, it's really up to the board, and that's why I'm bringing it up. We told him that we would bring it to your attention, and I can see, you know, your response, I think, is clear, and is consistent with my response as well.
but the towing company, have they checking the license plate? Yeah, I know they got the how do you call that, the system to do it. So
In this
before
situation,
they tow it.
the tag said 07/23,
Yeah.
and it was September 13th.
Correct, but
So-
let's say, for example,
Well-
the resident is claiming that it was valid, right? It wasn't the sticker, so.
Our rule says current tag and
Yeah.
registration.
Okay,
It says
okay,
the
so
tag
you have to
it
have,
says the
okay.
tag has to be updated. is the
Okay,
protocol.
sounds
So
good.
it's, you know,
I agree with that then.
If you want to make a concession, you can do that. If you- Okay.
I'm not gonna put me in that situation.
And it's not my recommendation either. I think we need to apply the rules consistently, but we did let the resident know that we would bring it to your attention. If you want, we can add some language to the rule, if you think that you want to clarify what that means more. We can do that.
I have a question on towing. Fire hydrant. One of my properties, I have one in the front, so according to your CPD rules, you're 15 feet. So your 15 feet is eliminating me from parking 2 people in front of my own property. When most major cities, Orlando, New York, every other way, is 3 feet.
Florida state law.
15? 15 feet, you just eliminated my whole front yard parking.
Yeah,
So-
we're happy to double check the
Well,
laws.
the thing is-
Yep.
Eli, we're gonna eliminate that problem because we're planning on passing a rule that there'll be no parking on Hygiene side anyway. So no one will be able to park on Hygiene side. That'll be the end of it.
So then I can go to, for me, property,
Cross.
I can
Across from you,
cross.
yeah. Not on the side where the fire hydrant is gonna be,
Yeah.
all that is gonna be no parking zone. But on the other side, yes, okay.
Yeah, but then now I'm impeding my neighbor's front yard parking.
it's first come, first served with the available parking that we have. I mean, that's kind of every district that we manage. It's, you know, kind of the same as the pool. It's first come, first served. If it's full, it's full.
I say 15 feet.
I mean,
That's
We have to go by
bigger
the
than,
statute.
that's 15 feet more than a car.
We have to go by the statute. Yeah, we don't have a choice on that.
And then we added,
Jason,
Yes.
you ever got that total report?
I did, they have fixed it. I do have a report of types that I'll get to you. It kind of just got prepared today, so we got some more information.
So,
So what about this overnight parking thing?
Well, I think you guys will actually talk about eliminating that, so
Yeah.
I've got a.
the overnight permit, yes, the only thing is gonna be it's gonna stay the one that you are giving for commercial vehicles.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the only one, that they don't park in there for like 10, whatever days, if they moving out or something, you can leave that one, the 7 days,
So you're looking at number 2 on this thing, or?
yeah, section 4. What?
Yeah, so
So I
section
think this
4A2,
is
right?
just for, we edited it just to be for commercial vehicles.
Correct.
and moving containers.
And moving containers.
Yes.
So you like the language that's listed here,
Yes,
just for commercial?
correct. And then obviously number 6, we're gonna take it out. The one
Yes.
adding,
Yeah.
Right, okay, yes, agreed.
Yeah, because we have many issues here that Juho being taken out, by the tow truck because it's a commercial vehicle and, people moving out, so, at least 7 days is enough time for you to.
So
and then
how does the
obviously-
towing company verify this?
What
With
I'll
the
do, when
sticker.
I issue those, I'll likely send an email to that resident with the pass, and I'll copy the tow people to just make them aware that one's been approved, and they'll need to put it in their dashboard like anything else. I'm expecting we'll run into a problem, and if we do, we'll deal with it, appropriately. If they had it parked in accordance and they had their pass and they were issued the pass, we'll resolve it.
So for the rest, I'm good.
Any other comments on the parking rules?
I'm not liking this hydrant thing.
Yeah.
Not the 15 feet, but the parking on the side of the hydrant. So I did some numbers this past week. And to give you an idea, rough numbers, didn't put a ruler on it, but give you some rough numbers. In our community, on street parking, there's approximately 376 spots to legally park within our community. Okay? If we make changes to see that there's no parking on the fire hydrants, we're going to lose 137 approximate spots within our community to park. Okay? That means mailboxes within the statute, hydrants within the statute. There's a lot of mailboxes that were double, that were singled out, and now that is, now you have 2 places on that you have to worry about. So just some rough numbers to know in your head. In terms of the number, right, let's quantify what we're thinking about. That's just, I'm going to leave it just at that.
Yeah, I agree with the number, but also the,
So what is the
Safety
right
of
number of
everything.
spots to have for 489 homeowners?
That's the $1 million question,
Yeah.
right?
That's the question. Corey?
Yeah.
How many driveways and garages?
correct.
How many cars can be parked in the driveway or garage?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Zero street parking. No street parking at all.
Yeah, I see all the communities that have no street parking with no issue, everybody parking on
We
the
all have
driveway.
garages, we all have driveways.
No, I don't give that, because you got for instance, you got a 5-bedroom home with a 2-car garage. You got a family of 5, 5 got 5 cars. So don't sell homes outside of 2 bedrooms. Because if you only park, no street parking, 2-car garage, so then you can't sell a home more than 2 bedroom, because you only put 2 cars.
But in all fairness, when I moved into a townhome in Boynton Beach,
That's not a home.
I had a 2-car garage, right? I have 2 kids, 2 adults, that would have been 4 cars. Both of my teenage daughter, not allowed to drive, because we only had 2 cars. I knew what I was getting into when I bought the home.
Yeah, but we're talking about CBD now, so the fire hydrant, like you said, you put a fire hydrant, 15-foot statue, count it around, now you could not, his number, you know what you're going to have. So you're already eliminating the townhome that you cannot park, so they're gonna go to the adjacent streets, then on top of the adjacent streets, the mailbox and the fire hydrants, where are they gonna go? Where are they gonna park?
But that's something, but on November 14th is gonna be the final public hearing and the changes is gonna be,
Answer
made.
the question that he's asking, where would the park, if you're eliminating
Exactly.
Where is the cars gonna go?
Well, that's how the CDD is.
They're gonna park in your driveway?
No, I have my driveway, I park my cars in my driveway.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's
They'll be
fine.
parking in front of your house.
Yes, you can, if it's available to park, you can park, because the streets are public,
And
so.
then we have people that have vehicles that they have 3, 4, 5 vehicles, and
Mhm.
they just sit there.
Yeah, and on the single family home side, we watch our property values plummet.
Yeah.
Because we got a bunch of junk ass cars sitting in front of our houses.
I think everybody's got good things and bad things about what they want, and I think this is a happy
I
compromise.
know the firm statute law, 15 feet is a little excessive. I think,
But the thing is, yeah, but it's like I said, we go with legal counsel and to follow the law, because if we don't follow it, then, we're doing it wrong if something happens. But,
It's kind of comparable that
Yeah.
we can't set a speed limit of
Mhm.
50 miles per hour on these streets. We are preempted by state law, same with the fire hydrant 15-foot law. We're preempted. The legislature in Florida has said CDDs, you can create parking and towing rules. That's all we're allowed to do. But we can't say you can break basically Florida law. We're just able to say you can park here, you can't park there. You can have, we can tow you if you don't have curb tags.
so to eliminate issues with the tone, so who's gonna go and paint 15 feet in front of all fire hydrants, no parking?
Yeah, I think those are really good, valid comments, and, this is the correct place to air them. We also have a public hearing before these are formally adopted. I think it's November 14th.
14.
So,
And I don't think painting the curbs is required
No.
for hydrants, right?
we would probably need to ask our district engineer to check the code, or Jarrett to check the code on that. Okay, sir, and, the board has to decide whether they want to take public discussion or comment, because technically we've got a
Yeah,
lot of
so
hearing
let's
from, so
move-
do you
we're
want to
gonna
take
do
comment,
something.
or you want to?
I would say if we're closing down the roadside with the hydrants and it's gonna be an entire strip, have a sign that say no parking this way, no parking this way on that side of the street. You don't need to paint the curb is a nice feature and visual, hey, don't park here, but there'll be signs posted.
I don't like painting the curbs red.
I would never paint the curb.
Whoever wants to sign in front of their home. I mean, I don't understand saying no parking in front of one of my properties.
That's a good point, yeah.
So we're not making and and I'm a homeowner of 3 in this community.
I hope to see you on November 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the appropriate time. We'll have a public comment. We'll be
What time is that?
5 p.m.
5.
Okay.
Is there gonna be a pre-printed rules on the site so that we can?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other comments from the board at this time? Again, we'll do the same thing. Once we get them updated, we'll circulate them to the board. We'll put them on the website. Make it available as publicly as we can before that November 14th hearing.
And then if you can, when you put it on the website, if you can utilize the HOA, just so the resident know, hey, it's available.
Yep.
And can we put a key on this map?
Yes.
too,
Yeah.
like-
Yeah. We were waiting until we got it.
Yeah, I figured, okay.
This is a temporary step, just so.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to avoid issues as much, but yeah, I understand. Okay, by the time we get these adopted, this will be clear, okay.
Then we'll keep working on that. The next item we have is a consideration for an agreement for underwriting services with MBS Capital Markets. Just by way of background, obviously the board was discussing at the last meeting the potential of maybe looking into additional bonds. As part of the process of that, we've engaged or we've kind of had some preliminary discussions with MBS, and Rhonda Mossing from that company is on the phone. They really can't provide you any numbers or really any advice unless they're under contract. Again, it doesn't cost you anything until bonds are issued, and that's standard with all the bonds. But for her to kind of dig into the issue and look at it, she would need to just kind of have a contract. And Rhonda, if you want to give some background, I know you're on as well.
Hi, this is Rhonda Moss at MBS Capital Markets, and MBS was the issuer of your 2018 refunding bonds and assisted with the bonds prior to that as well. We're familiar with the district and its history. We have been in this business. We were formerly Prager Sealy and Company prior to the spin-off of MBS for the public financing sector, and I've been in the business since 1978. originally in the CDD management business and then in the investment banking business with the tax-free municipal bonds that you'd be looking at. And so, based on the rules of the Securities Exchange Commission, we're not allowed to show you numbers and structure and options unless we're under contract with you. If you decide you're not going to issue the bonds, you're under no obligation to us. But that allows us to do the modeling for you and show you different options and scenarios, get you some answers to your questions that you may have regarding issuing a new set of bonds.
Okay. And so it's correct too that MBS has served as the underwriter for all the prior bond issuances,
All the
right?
prior bonds.
For this district, yes. So they've got all the experience, they've got the documents, I mean, they've got the historical knowledge that would be needed. And again, the worst they can do is, at worst, you get some numbers and you go, wow, the interest rate's really high right now, it's maybe not a good time to do this. But we can't really even give you those until they're kind of, as she said, with some of the financial rules, they have to be under contract.
And I see on page 2, paragraph 3, there's that termination clause, so if as Jason described, if that's a scenario, they give you the numbers based on the current rates right now, and you say, we're gonna hold off, you can terminate without cause, and revisit the issue later.
Or you could look at the numbers now and go, hey, we'll park it for 6 months, we'll keep them under contract, and in 6 months, we'll bring it back and look at the rates again. I mean, there's a myriad of options you have. And again, it doesn't cost the board anything unless bonds are issued.
I'm okay with it. It doesn't cost us anything. I'd like to know how much it will cost if we were to use it.
Well, it's in here, I think it's typically 2% of the bonds.
$50,000.
And I think that's consistent with all other underwriters.
Yeah, virtually every underwriter that does these services, it's 2% of the bond. So when they're sold, and that gets rolled. It's not like they're going to send you an invoice for it. It gets rolled into the bond, whatever the bond structure is. So it's part of that process. Similar to how you close on a home and there's fees that go to different people, it's the same thing.
So you're talking about the 2%, that's for that company. That you're not talking about the interest rate of the bond.
No,
That-
the 2% is their fee
Yeah, the
when
fee,
bonds
yeah.
close. There be a motion to approve that?
Does the maturity day will change?
Hmm?
The maturity day of the bonds, that will change if we get into another bonds with them?
It's kind of impossible to tell. It could. You could.
Yeah.
Well, there's two different things you could do. You could refinance the bonds you have based on the interest rates. That's probably not favorable position. But you can also issue new bonds. So if you issue new bonds, obviously the term for the new bonds goes longer than your current terms. If you were to refinance, most people keep the date the same. You just refinance. But again, I don't. It really depends on the goals of the board. And if you're looking for additional funding, probably issuing new bonds with a separate. So you'd have 2 bond series instead of 1 assessed to your house.
I know we postponed the research study for
January.
January. I think that's a better question that we can answer once we got exactly how much the research study will say. That we need to allocate for the next 5, 10 years, whatever the time is. And something that we have to revisit and go back and talk to them in case that we would like to get additional funding.
How long does this process normally take?
Maybe, Rhonda, do you have an idea on time frame if they were to sign the agreement today with you all? To give
I'm
you
sorry,
some,
could you repeat that question? I'm having a little difficulty hearing you.
How long does the process of the data that you're going to acquire for us take?
In order for you to issue bonds, you'd probably be looking at 90 to 120 days before you would actually be in a position to issue.
So it takes 3 to 4 months.
yeah, if you wanted to issue the bonds,
This
but
is all the paperwork, the offering statement, credit ratings, bond insurance. It's all a process to go through to get you the lowest rate that we can. And frankly, interest rates are so bad right now that it would probably be in your favor to, get this done and all the documents ready to go into the market as soon as it's favorable again.
motion to engage MBS Capital Markets for underwriting services.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passes unanimously. All right, we'll get it signed over to you, Rhonda.
Great. And then as
Thank
far
you
as
very much.
giving an idea.
Yeah, so typically what happens is, we'll get these signed, so at your next meeting, she'll put together some numbers for you just to kind of look at. Obviously, they'll be kind of preliminary, and then you can decide kind of what direction you want to go from there, or if you want to wait till the reserve study's in. She'll at least have kind of background information run for you. And then she can, some of our districts have we've got another district that's kind of in the same boat. They're looking at, their window of refinance is open. Obviously, it's not a favorable time, so we've got MBS signed. And every couple months, we just look at it, see if there's any savings to the district, and if not, we'll move on until there's savings. So we'll look at it from a couple different perspectives for you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you.
Your next item is a discussion of roving patrol. And so we've provided you a proposal from your current security vendor, which is Magnasec. I know at the last meeting there was some discussion from the board about swapping your Osceola County Sheriff's review to your security review. So just for cost comparisons, the security officer, you can get the security officer in their patrol vehicle for about 8 hours for about $250 plus tax, versus it's about $320 for the off-duty sheriff's officer for 4 hours.
For 4 hours.
So it's less cost and you get double the length of time. I've currently got the Osceola County scheduled through the 18th of this month. I've been just doing it basically one or 2 weeks at a time, just to get them on schedule, but obviously trying to limit the amount of exposure you have until you guys decided which direction you wanted to go. So if you wanted to start swapping and using the security officer instead of Osceola, we can start doing those at 3 days a week too, and again, you'll save a little bit of money. 2 or 3 days, whatever the board really wants to do.
Yeah, right now we're doing, using the same amount that we're using for the sheriff's office, we can, utilize and then maybe put like 3 days a week?
Yeah, so right now we're looking at about approximately $640 a week for the Osceola Sheriffs, which covers 2 4-hour shifts. So you could certainly get 2 8-hour shifts from your security officer for less than that. If you go 3, it's a little more, but you do get 3 8-hour shifts. It really depends on which way you guys want to go.
So they will patrol in a marked vehicle?
Marked vehicle with lights, yes.
With lights. Is that the same lady that works here or no?
It'd be a different guard, because we'd still keep the other guard.
Okay, so it's gonna be additional.
Yes.
Oh, so we'll be paying addition.
Essentially, yeah.
Yes. It's whatever we're using for the club, for the police, we're gonna be using for that. In addition of the 3 days that we're using for the weekend. So it's gonna be in total 5 days, or we switch it during the weekend. If we don't need it on the weekend.
So the roving patrol officer can't do the function of the other person intermittently also? I mean,
Yeah.
I just think having 2 guards, paying 2 guards.
No, it's not gonna be 2 guards, it'll be 1, depends the hours.
What I would do is leave the guard here at the pool for those 3 days and use 2 other days for the rover. And they could also, they'll obviously drive around. You can tell them to keep an eye up here, so they can keep an eye up here. Again, that's what some of our other districts have done.
Also, what I was thinking, I've been coming around. I prefer the person that is here on the weekend to also utilize that time to go around, because being here 8 hours, for me, it's not.
Now with the road, sorry.
Yeah. So adding that, if we add the vehicle and that person has the vehicle during the weekend, then they do the checks, make sure the pool is good, then stay here, let's say like an hour, then go back, go around the community, the gates, come back and go again and check the areas, the bathrooms. So
that's my point, is that I don't think we need someone sitting idle.
Correct.
I think that we should capitalize and use whatever money we're paying the guard here to put more roving days, so that then we have more supervision, and the same roving guard can supervise here intermittently. I don't know, are they allowed to drive in the back to see if there's anybody back there? Because at night, I think, in all fairness, it's very dark back there, and I have a feeling that the security guard
I
doesn't
would
go
not
back there.
drive vehicles back there. If there was a golf cart, and some companies offer golf cart options. If there was that,
That'd be something to look
I would
into.
not be
Or
driving.
if they walk with a flashlight, yeah, it's probably, you probably wouldn't want them all taking they're probably not gonna take the security vehicle back there off-road.
Or at least walk back there, or do a spot check back there, because, you know, that's been my experience. I see a lot of the youngsters coming in through the front and then hang out back there where they can't be
What
seen.
I would recommend to Magnuset is have a rotating schedule of when they're patrolling up there and when they're
Yeah.
stationed here, and then they just change the hours so it's not a predictable pattern, they're like, oh, okay.
Correct.
They're not gonna be in the clubhouse from 1 to 2. They'll change those hours, they'll do roving patrol, walking roving patrols around here, and then vehicle patrols down the streets, so it's an alternating time.
Yeah, because we're getting a community service sheriff vehicle also, and I was gonna ask about that. Is there anything that needs to be done with the CDD about that? I know some residents have volunteered through the HOA, with the sheriff's department to do community service kind of roving, and I just wanna make sure that that's
Citizen
okay with the
patrol,
CDD.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's nothing the CDD needs, no, I mean, it's,
Public roads.
Okay, so I just wanna make sure that there's nothing, no blessings we need from you guys or anything like that.
now they can't enforce the CDD rules, so that's the only real thing, so they
They
can't
cannot
enforce.
enforce the CDD rules.
Right, so that's something that I was gonna mention too, with this security provider, sometimes CDDs, once they go to this step of getting a security company to come in,
Yeah.
they'll have that security company put warnings on the
No,
cars.
that's, yes,
That's something we could ask them to
Yeah.
do. Now, we would have to amend, they're not gonna be here 24/7. I mean, there's certain CDDs that have that as part of their parking and towing rules. One warning from our security officer, then they have permission to call the tow company. But that's if you have 24/7. But you could still, if you're gonna have these folks patrolling, you could ask them to just place a warning sticker on cars that they notice that are in violation of the parking and towing rules. We could ask
That
them
would be
to-
good, knowing that they're blocking the sidewalk or, a sticker versus getting towed,
We don't
So
have-
basically-
Just ask them to, look, if you've already put one warning on, the next time you see it, call the tow company.
Yeah.
So then you have like eyes on the road, it's more so than just GMS or something like that.
So like for example, so if we have her in the weekend, from 9 to 2, right? I think, 6 to 2. So if we're doing the same hours, then we adding 2 more days then, right? With the, with the money that we're spending with the, Osceola Sheriff. So in total, it's gonna be 5 days if we wanted to.
Marlon, you're kind of touching on, reminds me of one CDD that has an agreement with their HOA to retain a security provider to enforce the CDD's rules on the roads.
What's the logistics on that, though? Like, how do you go about
HOA pays a security provider to enforce CDD rules, to patrol for HOA violations and violations of CDD rules. So we entered into an agreement with the HOA.
Oh,
So do we know what the price tag on this is gonna be per year? Because I know you're giving us kind of a la carte services here, but I'm thinking, assuming the 2 days a week that you're talking about,
so it's an extra 500 a week.
well, we can do 3 days a week if we eliminate the guard here, right? It wouldn't.
but the thing is, you don't need to get rid of the one here.
Why not?
That's gonna be 3, because that one, it can become roving patrol.
But you're still gonna pay for that one separately, right?
No, you can,
Oh, but you're saying on different days you use this one.
correct. And
That's
then
what
the
you're
3 days when she's on the weekend, or he, whatever it is, then they come with the car and do the patrol as well. No, she's not gonna be here the whole time.
And we know the chief.
Well, she's
You
been
can
here,
use the chief.
well, because she's been here the whole time, the officer.
Yeah, but we need to look into that too, because in all fairness, and, I know we have a predominantly Spanish-speaking, resident population here, but there is a lot of people that don't speak Spanish, and I believe the current guard doesn't speak English, and that's not good.
Or speak.
Or speaks it to a certain level that it's not enough to communicate. So I don't know, I think we need to look at that. It should be somebody that's fluent in both, or just at least English.
Jason can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if we can require that at all.
Really?
And in turn, I feel like that would be potential discrimination lawsuits.
We'll
Yeah,
look
I
into it.
don't
Yeah,
know.
we're hearing your preference, and we'll see what we can do
Okay.
with
I mean, I don't have a problem with it being
Within the
female.
boundaries.
I hope I'm not being misunderstood. I just think it needs to be somebody that can communicate with the residents.
It's-
By-
it's-
yeah.
I understand, I'm just.
And I'm Spanish, so I can say that.
And every job asks for that exact thing, bilingual must, Spanish a must, or English a must.
Yeah, okay.
Because when you're dealing with security, you're supposed to, let's say, for example, Mark comes here and she's trying to communicate with him, you gotta be like, what you saying?
And that happened a couple of times. She was trying to enforce some rules about the pool, and kind of like she didn't really understand what the resident was telling her, except that he didn't want to get out of the pool. And what he was basically trying to communicate to her is that his kids go with that clothes in the pool all the time, and no one's ever complained to him about it. That why is it happening now? That was kind of like, and I happened to come by at that time, and I happened to help, close the loop. But if I would have been here, then I think it could have gotten a little more escalated unnecessarily. So how much more are we talking to these things?
So, I mean, the two extra shifts would be approximately $500 a week. If you do two more, so times 52,
618.
26,000.
26,000. Okay.
And that doesn't mean you have to do it full time. I mean, you
And how
can, you
much
can
are-
try it for a couple weeks, see if you like
And
it.
how much are we paying the current guard now? How much is the budget for that?
It's $23 an hour, but you're not paying for a vehicle. So it's $23 an hour.
It went up because I think it
And
was
how many
21.
hours? Is she here 24 hours a week?
I believe so.
It was 21, I think, before.
So what is the direction of the patrolling person? What are we gonna be asking them to do? Are they gonna be dismounting from the vehicle, checking tags? What is the scope?
That's kind of another question from the board. I mean, you can use it you can use it, as Kristen said, you can give warnings for people in in violation of your parking policy. Currently the sheriff's, obviously the guard can't write tickets, so the guard doesn't have that kind of power like the sheriff's officer would. Most likely our roving patrol really just drive around. It's really to provide just a presence in the community.
They cannot write traffic tickets.
Right.
But if the CDD had a finding process, they could get fines though, right?
We can't.
Because I know Hunters Creek, I don't think Hunters Creek has a CDD, but I know Hunters Creek has people that go around giving tickets to the residents.
Their HOA likely has fining powers. The CDD doesn't really have fining.
Yeah.
Again, we could issue stickers, and that's what we do in some of our communities.
So I guess the only value the roving patrol gives us is safety, that there's someone patrolling and kind of discouraging the crime that we're seeing lately. I guess there was some burglary here a couple days ago, quits commotion at 3 o'clock in the morning, and everybody's blaming the gate for that, but it's been happening even when the gates were operable, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and the police mentioned that
Yeah,
it wasn't.
They can call the police
Yeah.
if they're
Oh,
witnessing a
the police
burglary,
everywhere.
or if there's a gate issue, they could call GMS or South, and we could, they could be reactive to that. They could also issue warnings for parking and towing. They could enforce the rules, like they could take pictures, call the towing company, things like that. And then just general deterrence. Some CDDs want it as a deterrence mechanism.
Yeah. Now, I think, I want to do one or the other. I really don't feel that we need to have, a guard that we're paying for here when there's really nothing going on here. And if it's an event going on, the renter of the event should pay for that security to be here. You understand? So that's the only thing I have an issue with. I like the whole roving thing, the safety thing. I think it's great, but I just don't see why we need somebody here 3 days a week.
But like I said,
When there's not something going on here every
we
week.
won.
What you could do, if you're looking for a medium or something in the middle, is you could have that guard that's here the 3 days a week like we currently have, and just pay the extra for the car.
Correct,
And they
and
could,
going around. Yeah,
they
that's
could
what I
do it,
said.
then you're not really incurring those additional costs except for the $6 an hour for the vehicle.
It's gonna be
I like that idea better
it's
for
gonna
the
be
short
five.
term, and then we can see what we can do with everything else. 'Cause, when I calculate the budget, you're talking
Yeah.
about 60 grand a year
Yeah.
to do all that. And I think that there goes our gate savings right there. So, I don't think it's necessary like that. I think if we do random days, 3 days a week, I think it would be more effective than
Yeah.
having someone here every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, in addition to 2 other days.
I'll talk to them about that. Sometimes random days is difficult because they have to hire people for this position.
Yeah.
So if they never never know.
Can we get a bid from another security company also? Like, how do we know this is a good deal?
We use other security vendors, their rates it's a pretty good rate, I will tell you.
So their rates are higher?
Yeah.
So I just set this up at another CDD, it's like $28 an hour for roaming control.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
That's up to the board.
Like a super quick one, maybe it won't take actually that long.
You sure everybody's not gonna go crazy?
No, just answer this really quickly, actually.
Yeah.
Is there a particular reason as to why the Osceola County Sheriff's Department doesn't patrol the public roads that they should be patrolling anyway, and why do we have to pay them?
The gate.
Well, no, they can patrol the roads, they have that ability,
But
but
why don't they? Because unless we pay them, I've never seen them.
what they'll tell you, what we've heard in other districts is the sheriffs has, one officer for this area. If they have anything more important to do, they're gone. So when you're paying the off-duty officer, you're paying for dedicated service for your community.
But also, I talked to the Osceola Sheriff, since we have a gate, they won't come inside.
That's
Unless
a problem.
That's-
Yeah.
Unless they
We get
pay.
involved with our-
All you have to have is the relay for them to honk the horn to be able to get in.
Yeah, no, and that's why we have the public access
Yeah.
too. When I was saying that there's issues with the bonds,
Yeah.
Yeah.
giving public access, there's also a concern about traffic enforcement services from
Yeah.
Osceola County Sheriff's Office if we do not have public access.
Yeah,
Well,
what them mention is as soon as you have a gate, they won't come
Yeah,
unless
I've heard that
yeah.
before, and my position has always been that is incorrect.
Yeah.
These are public roads, that is a stopped gate. The residents pay taxes to the county.
Yeah.
What about the issue of having an agreement with Osceola County? Because that was something that had happened here multiple times, where we had youngsters here at night, and they come and they say they can't do anything because there's no agreement with the CBD.
I have sent the startup of that blanket trespass agreement to them 3 times at this point, including today, and I'm still waiting to hear back, because there's a process you have to go through. So I am in that process, I'm just waiting to hear back.
So at some point we'll hear back.
I'm gonna stay on it.
I don't think you're gonna hear back from them.
Well,
Thank you.
They're
gonna keep hearing from me until I
Yeah.
hear back from them.
So I think with the 3 days as of now that we haven't, adding the patrol is better and, yeah. So like Mario was saying, I think we need different day because, or we can make it where it's, I don't know.
I
let's
think if
say
there's
more-
an event here and you want to do that, that's fine, they can patrol around the event, but I think if we're gonna provide security for the event, then the renter of the venue should be the one paying for that. But I think otherwise, we should have a roving patrol to protect everybody.
So the direction of the board then, we'll reach out to Magnasec and
Yeah.
just add the vehicle on so that the person who's already here can patrol those 3 days a week.
That's what I propose.
And then, we gotta do the weekend or we gotta do changing like,
Find
let's
out
say
what they want
Monday,
first.
no, that's what I'm talking, like Monday or Wednesday and Friday or, changing the dates because having it just on the weekend. Because usually during the week, we have issues here as well because they know it's no.
I think you definitely have to have one weekday, one weekend day. Either you do Friday or Saturday or something like that, but the one of those has to be covered all the time.
I think Saturday is the
And then
best.
spread it out, the other 2 days can be spread out however it works best, but I think we have to have a Friday or Saturday coverage.
I would say Saturdays are probably the best days.
Yeah.
Because people are off of school, you have more people here.
My opinion, we need to decide what's more important, the building or patrolling around. So as the moment that she leaves this building in that vehicle, if somebody's watching that she's not here, they're gonna come do whatever they have to do here, in my personal opinion. So we need to decide what's priority, building or patrolling around the community.
And what happened with the other
That's
hours
what-
that she's not here?
Well, that's why we have cameras.
Yeah, that's what we
So
have.
we
all
spend
that.
thousands and thousands of dollars on fancy
The
cameras.
cameras is what happens, it's before. Everybody knows now that she's here during the weekend, so nobody is gonna dare to come here when she's here. If she lives in a vehicle, that's inviting people to come back here, my opinion.
So I don't think 45 minutes will, that's what it takes usually to do a patrol, at 10 miles per hour, the whole community.
Any other discussion on this?
Do you got any like date?
So, in my thought, right, we went back, rewind. The only reason the Osceola Sheriff County is patrolling is a measure to counteract the gate being open. So the idea back then was to counter the gate.
Yeah.
But when we closed the gate, we said we were gonna stop the sheriff,
Correct.
right? And now I feel like we're going down a slippery slope, right? Because you add security, and from a perspective, and this is purely smoke and mirrors, right? It's observe and report. You get farther and farther down, it costs more and more and more, and that is something that you can never get rid of. I know 3 other communities that I have coworkers that are going, they don't do anything, they sit there, and we can't get rid of them, because the community feels like a false sense of security by having this person roving or standing around.
Same thing with the gate.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, we're swapping A and B until that gate can get out.
But we gotta be utilizing the budget that we created. We cannot go over budget on that. And also the community, that's what they've been requesting for the longest. They want to feel what you're saying, secure. If you have somebody going around and you can see it, the crime goes down. As soon as you don't have anyone going around, it goes.
It doesn't. We have the sheriffs here now, and there was crime 2 nights ago.
It
Right?
goes.
It's a false perception.
But when I
And
was
on
doing
top
it
of
every
this, you're
day,
adding
yeah.
additional layers, right? You're now telling us that the HOA is also doing community, right, which is essentially the same thing, right, the community service. So they're gonna be going around, obviously, they can't be as scheduled, because it's volunteer time. But now you're adding multiple things in together, and we're not gonna be able to tell which one is working well for us if we start adding things, right? You gotta start with something. If we're gonna do this, all right, let's figure out if it's working, if it's doing what we want, great. If not, then maybe we switch it up.
Correct. Yeah, the
So
volunteers.
What is the suggestion?
Yeah.
You want us to continue paying 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and wait to see what the gate impact is?
That's what I would say.
Okay. So we're gonna
So
save
spend-
$6.50 just to pay somebody to sit here 3 days a week and just sit
8
there
hours.
and look pretty.
Well, that dang gate better be up and running here pretty soon, because a month ago we heard, oh, tomorrow we can have it up and running, and yet here we are, and I see there's more proposals for things that we didn't know that were going on. Right? It's been ridiculous at this point, that we're spinning our wheels on this gate, and spending way more money than we ever initially thought we would when we keep finding these things. Right? I asked the last meeting, we said it was cameras, and now there's more stuff.
What's the other stuff?
Well, it's the ones that we've approved, so it's
The
they're on here.
RFID
So
reader.
the RFID reader was not working, which is what reads the resident stickers. So we replaced that, and then the SOS was not functioning, which is what lets
The fire department.
That's a non-negotiable.
those are things we cannot open the gate without. The other things that we have, our proposals are more aesthetic or, so we went with only the essentials to start with, and then we'll bring you the rest. And then as part of the meeting tonight, we can talk about when you guys want to start.
For me, I don't know, the option having just a person here the whole time. But anyway, we can keep going anyway in the future when the gates are closed. This is gonna keep going, people,
In all fairness though, there's things that when we decided to do this was not expected, like Envera sabotaging our system and allowing us to kind of be the way that we are today, and that's an expense that I think we can't compromise on if we want to protect the gate.
But has crime gone up since the gate's been open for the last 5 to 6 months?
I would say
No.
so, a little bit.
No?
There've been 2 robberies.
One.
And how many times
It's been 2.
with the gate
Huh?
being
And they went
closed?
down the street on Riachuelo and the little thing.
Correct, but those, when you contact the police and the gate doesn't cover anything. Like,
Gate does nothing.
yeah, correct. So it doesn't matter if you have it on or not, but the community, the residents of the district, they want the gate. They want to have the security. Maybe you think that it's not good to have it, that's fine. But the majority of the community, they want a working gate.
Crime hasn't really gone up since the gate's been open for the last 6 months. So why do we need Roman security? What are they gonna do? We're gonna pay all this money, and where do we get it from? Crime didn't go up, maybe.
I know, but that's utilizing what we have now to improve it better. I would prefer to have somebody going around because I did it almost 2 years myself, volunteer.
Right now, it was the same kid that been running around the
Yeah.
backyard with a motorcycle.
Yeah.
He was running in the green area there
Yeah,
with no shirt.
and we don't.
And we know who it is. Because he's not here.
Yeah.
And the donuts that are being done at the.
And then to have a cop, we call the cop, it maybe doesn't come. Having a security, it can narrow to investigate, to go and figure out who it is, and maybe relay that information to the HOA, and figure out something. But anyway, that was my take on it, that having the person
Maybe we should
here.
get somebody from the sheriff's department to come to our next meeting and kind of enlighten us and
Yeah.
see where we should be putting our money then. Because I think, obviously the people in this room are not in agreement with what anybody wants to do, what the majority of the residents want. I mean, I hear it all the time, residents want patrolling, they want the gate, they want these things,
But are they gonna pay the price?
and they all cost money. Well, they have to, they
Yeah.
don't have a choice.
So you also hear, I don't want my fees to go up, I don't want my fees to go up. So it's A or B. You can't have both.
Well, we're already saving money compared to the money that's been dumped the last few years.
So, is
Yeah,
the
well,
threshold is to
so-
just kind of park it for now?
I think,
Make a motion, see if it fails, that's what I said.
well, yeah. So for the 3 days that we have on the, how do you call that? The security at the clubhouse, I would like to add the vehicle just to roam
Why?
and to have it going, making sure, check the clubhouse, all the areas, and also around, the gate and the CDD
So
property.
your motion is to add the patrol vehicle to the current security staff
Yeah.
responsibilities for what's currently already budgeted.
Correct.
Is there a second?
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed?
I oppose.
Okay. Motion does not pass.
Do we have anyone?
Michael, are you on?
If not, yeah.
Why not give it the Osceola County hub here? Why not give the police, Osceola County, the office, the access to have a hub here?
Yeah, that's something that is coming, yeah.
But the current condition of that guardhouse, I don't think anybody wants to sit in there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something on the works, but it takes money to fix all that.
Alright, the next item we have is, we did receive a proposal for, Easy Computer Tech, for security cameras. I'll let Jared kind of run through that quick.
Okay, I did not get a proposal, so we're going to slide it off. Basically, from what I'm seeing here is, this company would come out with 4K cameras there and replace all the systems, NVR and everything there.
Where?
Huh?
Where?
Was that
You said there.
at the gatehouse and the clubhouse, to my knowledge, like 10 cameras. Well, I could be wrong.
So I can sum it up for you, because I did get this proposal, so, in all fairness, so basically, there has been many talk in the previous meetings that our DVR here at this clubhouse is not working properly, that there's hard drive issues, and that it can go any moment, and there've been some proposals that came that were way through the roof that I didn't think would merit us to do that. So I went and I found this gentleman who has lots of experience. He's worked in California, but just moved to Orlando. He's actually worked in California and in South Florida, but moved to the Orlando area like 3 years ago and has been working here since. He took a look at our system. I tried to get him to revitalize the system that there's there now. He says that the Envera system is quite old, and he feels that they did something to prevent it from working because a lot of the devices don't get power, even though there's power at the main brain there. So what he suggested is that for the guardhouse, that just to simplify, get all that crazy equipment out of there, and he says he could put a lock box in there that would have an NVR system that supports 4K resolution. He would leave whatever cameras are there that are working properly, because there's only about, I think, 4 or 5 cameras that are old and are not even connected, they're just there. So he would replace those with new cameras. He would give us more vision towards Simpson Road and more vision towards Camino Real, which we don't have right now. So he's gonna, I believe this includes 10 extra cameras. Yeah, 10 extra cameras that he will add to what we currently have. He will still use all the LPRs that we have, he will use all the good cameras that we have. And he would just change the NVR there. And then here at the clubhouse, he says our cameras are good, we'll just have to upgrade the NVR, and that we should be good with that, and that he can adjust the cameras to cover more ground for areas that we really cannot see as good. So he's willing to do all this with equipment. He's including a TV for us to be able to see the feed, which I was thinking that maybe hopefully at some point we can allow maybe the security guard to sit in an office, or we can put this monitor there and they can actually look at the cameras in real time to see what's going on outside. He's also providing a computer to manage all that stuff. And I believe I also discussed with him doing some sort of broadcast of certain cameras where the residents will be able to see that as well from the comfort of their own home if they're interested in knowing what's going on outside. And I think that's it. So, you know, I think it's a fair price for all the equipment he's including. I believe the installation is only a small part of which is $1,500 of this is installation. The rest of it is really all equipment. And from my understanding, I'm not an expert on any of this at all, but from what he says, this is some of the best commercial equipment that's out there. And he says that this system is guaranteed to be functional for at least 10 to 12 years. And he will provide intermittent maintenance to make sure that everything's working properly. And you know, we didn't get that far as to quoting that. I told him that we're going to talk about that at a later date. But, you know, he says that the system will run so efficiently that it doesn't need to be maintained. But I think it's a good practice to maybe have him check on it a couple times a year just to make sure that nothing's gotten messed up. Or at least to tell us if we're going to need to replace anything in a timely fashion. So that's all I got for this.
And going with this, I've been working with Jared to get the Embera system work. So that NVR is pretty much fry as what Servostat mentioned. And buying that one, it costs us around $4,500. Just the NVR. Then we need a professional to manage that server because it's not a regular NVR, it's just a server. So they have to put all the cameras with the IPs and all that technological things. Seeing this, I researched that NVR in here on the proposal, and that pretty much is pretty good NVR that can work with any camera. So that's a, you know, saving versus what they wanted to do here because I think it was almost $3,000 to change the NVR here. The Servostat just brought. So here is $1,479. So
the other thing is that I forgot to mention is that both systems, the gate and the clubhouse, will be under one system, so that one app you'll be able to see everything through there, rather than how we've had they got to log into this app, log into that app, and one doesn't talk to the other. So I think it's a good deal for it.
okay. And I think that's what they have the computer for, then to integrate both systems.
So what's your thoughts, technically speaking?
My thoughts, technically, the only concern that I really have, I think price is probably comparable to other vendors. My concern is what is stopping them from sabotaging this NVR? Is it
Stopping who?
So you're saying the person that's installed this Easy Computer Tech, they're recommending, hey, we come by, service it every now and again, we'll have to have that under some sort of agreement or contract.
If we want to.
So if they don't touch it at all, it just works fine. We don't need anyone servicing it. They don't have.
It's like that.
That's what he suggested. He says that once the system's operable, it shouldn't give any problems, and it should be on a PRN basis that he would come in and repair it if needed. But I'm the one that suggested that.
Correct.
I'm the one that suggested, and I'm suggesting to the board to consider someone keeping an eye on it, whether it's semi-annually, quarterly, whatever it is, just so that we know that the cameras are working and that no one's played around with it and done something with it and that's unchecked.
And that is typical of what we do with ours. So, you know, if he's got the app we go through about once a week and just, log on to the app, check all the cameras, make sure it's working.
Make sure they're correct, because
Yeah.
sometimes with the wind or, I don't know, somebody hit it.
So you're saying that wouldn't be necessary?
Correct. So they can do it.
Typically,
I didn't know that.
I'm perfectly okay with that. Like I said, my concern is Embarrass is managing a system and running a system. I'm not saying the exact project, I have no proof of that, but it doesn't work for them. So
Correct.
that's- Now you're out $1,000, I don't want that. As
Yeah.
long as they can't do that with this, I have no issues.
Yeah, at least with this one, I think it's the same as what we have here, that is a regular, it's not like the,
Standalone entity.
correct, because the one that we have at the guardhouse is just a computer, it's just a server, so
Yeah,
it's
and
different.
also, I mean, we're subject to Inver's agreement. The CDD signed an agreement that Inver drafted.
Yeah, that
This
doesn't
looks like
cover
it's
anything.
just installation, but we could still ask them to sign my standard agreement.
Yeah.
And
To
it's-
indemnify us, but then GMS would have control of the system moving forward, and if they deem that it needs some work.
And I
then-
would say typically, say if it's, he's got something different in his district. So we typically don't have a service agreement for the camera systems. It's, it's like what we said, we log on, we look at it, make sure everything's functioning. If it's not, we immediately call the vendor. You've got a 3-year warranty with at least a lot of this stuff, it looks like. So, I mean, at least that gives you some.
Yeah, I just didn't want, they install the system and then they're down for a week and we wouldn't know about it.
Yeah, well, that's,
That would be something that I would include on my inspection.
So these 10 cameras, that's all for the gate, or that's for the gate and
So,
here if needed?
I know
How
for
is-
sure he needs at least 8 at the gate. He's buying 10 because he said he'll get a better price if he buys the 10. And he said that either he would find where to put them over there, or he would find where to put them here, wherever he feels they're most.
Well, at least in here,
But
we
he would
know,
use all 10 cameras.
yeah, at least here we know it's damaged like 2, right? Yeah, and this, yeah, the tennis court is damaged.
Yeah, but he said like the ones that look like this, he says they're all working.
Yeah, this one they're good.
The older ones that are out there, he says they might not be working.
I think I would definitely recommend this option at that point. I don't have any further issues with that. If there's additional cameras that we want to add after the fact here, I would recommend then looking at the Google Nest cameras that they determined. They're 10K cameras. They're probably not the best for the gate for trying to capture license plates in the middle of the night, but they would perfectly serve around here. You pay a subscription, $15 a month to Google. You have virtual NVR. They manage everything, and then there's no wiring. It's literally just a plug and play, the battery powered camera that lasts for 300 days before you have to charge it. So that's.
And they record
But you're also at risk of losing the internet and then having nothing. You're risk of losing the internet and having nothing.
So with those cameras, they have a built-in recording system that will last 10 days. And then once they get an internet connection again, they will transmit that. If I can see, basically with that app, the same app that runs the air conditioning here, I can go on and see, oh, it's not working. I can take it off, connect it to an internet source and download everything and then get the system back up and running. But that is, like I said, on top of this at a later time, if we wanted more cameras here or if they wanted them elsewhere. For the moment, I would recommend this system. I have no issues with this.
Do you have another option or another company that has more experience that can do almost the same thing?
That's
I can tell you,
You got the
note of that. So we use like Guardian Access a lot for a lot of our facilities. It is expensive.
And service that provider, right?
It'll be probably 15 to 20 grand for the same amount of equipment.
Service that provided for the gate, I think once, it was like 11,000 or 12,000 just for the gate.
Correct.
And this one, if this can be installed, do you know how soon they can install this?
So yeah, I did ask him about that. He said that, and I know that. I said the lawyer's probably gonna have to write a contract. It's gonna take some time. He said from the time he gets the deposit, 1 week, everything will be done. From the time he gets the deposit, it says it takes 3 to 4 days to get the equipment. It'll take him 1 to 2 days to get everything in.
The agreement's fast, it's really just the form, the issue is the comments on the agreement, and pushback.
I'm just kidding.
So 8,
That's,
You do a great job, and I mean it in a positive way.
no, I get it.
This is a government agency, don't you have to bid everything out?
For certain things, yes, we do
8
that.
terabytes.
Something like this?
No,
No?
So 8 terabytes of
There's
hard
no
drive.
wiring involved in this? he's not upgrading any wiring.
He's using the existing wiring that's already there, because all the cameras we have right now are IP cameras, so they all have different Ethernet wiring.
Okay, so it's like, if we're gonna do this, let's hook up the wires, that's what we need to do.
Now, in all fairness, you guys gotta understand, right? If he goes and takes the camera and the wire is not working, he may have to put a new wire, so that's not included in here now. I'm not saying that's the case.
So it's gonna be like the, it's gonna be end.
Thank you.
Well,
how
that's
everything
something that you
is
don't know
done.
until you do it, you know.
Why didn't he pull all the wires in?
Because he's not
we
being
just came
paid.
through, we just came through the gate right there. Oh, it's this.
He can't touch any of our stuff without being in a contract with us. So he came to look
Yeah.
and give his opinion on what we need.
And that's what happened usually with this company, and I think that's what happened with the gates. People cannot just open things and start, you know, checking, because if
They out of it, they could, because we own it.
but the thing is, if something is working and they go there and touch it and damage
Came
it,
and took everything else. And then
Why isn't it verified?
There was an agreement with Enviro that was signed that gave them permission to do certain things. We've already, it wasn't our system, it was Envero's system. That was under the terms of the agreement that the CD.
And who signed that? Because that was stupid.
that was before, but.
It was between the CDD and Enviro at one point, but, you know, and that's why, you know, moving forward, we're persistent about getting
I
agreements.
think-
That's usually how it runs in environment. Why you buy the system?
I think for this one, like Corey was mentioning, I think if the proposal is 9,100,
If we could just
excuse me.
talk now, it's hard to hear us here.
So I think, can we do something like what we did for the depression, just to put like a few hundred extra, just in case we need cable, you know?
Yes, I would recommend putting an extra, not to exceed on top of that.
I wonder if it would be beneficial for Jared to meet with this contractor, walk through the project as Jared sees it,
Yeah.
and then allow Jared the ability to edit the proposal as he deems necessary.
Yeah.
So maybe we would look for a motion to approve this subject to Jared sign up and an agreement in place with the contractor.
One thing before the motion is why we have to pay 85% down to this vendor?
That's his terms, it's likely, it
How much
looks
the
like you're
equipment
paying for
costs?
all the equipment first.
Of course, it's
So the installation is 1,500, so he's just holding installation until the end. So it's just all the equipment costs, it looks like.
normally the city only pays 50% in advance.
I'm sure if we ask him that, he might comply with that. We can look into that.
It's not an uncommon thing for any type of tech stuff or when they're buying a product like
When
this.
they want the equipment up front.
I've seen 95% deposits. It's not ideal, but it's not uncommon.
And then basically, this includes a 55-inch monitor, to monitor it. If it's going to go set up at the gatehouse, who's going to watch it?
It's not in the gatehouse, we're planning to put it here at some
Yeah.
point.
And then, so this is security footage, and so actually GMS has to monitor that they can only GMS can have control of that.
And then-
I'm saying to see it, right? Security.
No,
doesn't
no, like
see
the
it.
TV.
It's just a monitor to look at cameras in real time.
In real time.
Correct. Not to go back and look for
Yeah.
footage of all that, that's their job, right?
Okay.
And but
But
like
we're going to
the,
pay $485 for a monitor.
we can just take
Yeah,
that
we
out.
have one that's on site, there's a TV that sits up front. Are all those viable?
We can definitely set that up as part of my interaction with the vendor.
Yeah.
Because also
I
what,
don't know if it's used, but if we do, let's say we do have it this way, I need to know if I'm interacting with it at my home and checking stuff, because are people just sitting there watching it? Like, there's definitely concerns with that, so.
Say that again, sorry?
Okay, let's say, I don't know where we're planning to have that under as of right now.
office, it should be, or here, I don't know, or the guardhouse.
Okay, so you're in a GMS place, is what you're saying, not just like.
Oh, no.
Okay, I misheard what your intention was. Then, yeah, I'll talk to them.
Yeah.
I do not think this is needed for here.
It's just a TV to watch
Yeah, it
the
actually
wall.
says it's in the guard.
And at some point, if you wanted a guard, like you were thinking, I wonder, you know, can we work that in the future, if that's
I think in the future,
the plan
but
is.
it's just like.
And when I met with him, and I'm actually, surprised that he recommended 55 inches. When I met with him, he said a 32 inch would be more than enough.
Well, it looks like he's setting it up in the guardhouse, which I guess depending on the number of cameras, I mean, 'cause you're talking 16 cameras plus the one. Well, but the
over
guardhouse,
there, I
I mean,
know-
you might need that big of a TV with, almost 30 cameras. But if it's in the guardhouse, then no one's really monitoring it anyway, so we can.
No, you don't want it,
that.
that has never
Right.
provided anything, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can you read that again, the
The
motion?
motion? Okay, so I guess it would be a motion to delegate authority to Jerry to meet with the vendor and determine the correct scope of services that will be attached to the agreement. So basically, you're gonna approve this in substantially final form, subject to Jared's sign off on the proposal, final scope. We
We
could
do a
also,
not to exceed amount, or?
I was gonna say, you could delegate authority to one supervisor to sign off on the final form of agreement as well, with a not to exceed. if you wanna do
Okay, I can make that motion,
that. Okay,
all right?
what not to exceed would you make?
So Jared to negotiate the specifics on the contract
Scope.
and of the scope and, not to exceed, let's say 10,000?
And then you would delegate authority to, is it
So-
yourself, or you can do that if you want?
I don't want to
To do the
myself.
final, sign off on the agreement after, like, I've signed off and GMS has signed off on that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I can do that.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, motion passes 3-1.
How much was the bid for the cameras there? That you guys never said.
This one's $9,100, $104.
I feel we are going backwards. Our main purpose was to secure the gate. There is no gate yet after 6 months.
Okay, can we go to the next?
Just so we did a walkthrough after the meeting last month with King's Access. The gate works. We tried a test period where we closed the gate to try to prepare people that May gate operations are going to begin. The problem was that the first hour.
Excuse me.
Let's just stay quiet, because we've got a recording and we've got to retain a public record here, so. Thank you.
Okay, so after the meeting, we did a walkthrough with King's Access, me and Jason both did. We looked at all the systems, everything was working with exception to the RFID reader and the SOS signal, which we need both of those in operation. That is, should have already been fixed, we will verify with King's Access to make sure, but we should be good to go there. The problem is when we did our test run, someone crashed into the gate arm the very first hour that it was in operation, and we have no cameras there or any recourse. They did come out the next day, fix it for us, at no extra charge, but if you don't have cameras, you have no recourse. So that is why they're not open today. That is the only reason that they're not open right now. And before we can have the RFID reader.
And one question, now that he mentioned that, so before we have this issue of bringing people that break the gate, and, legal counsel at the time was saying that costs a lot of money for the CBD, and we could not recoup any money or do anything. That's
That's a pretty routine thing in all of our districts, even districts where it's maybe not explicitly said in the rules. But if somebody damages your gate, you have video evidence of it, you have their license plate,
okay.
you can certainly go after them for damages. And typically, we send them a letter, here's pictures, here's what happened, here's an event, we're requesting a reimbursement of this amount of money, or we'll take further legal actions. I don't typically even get legal involved in that to start with,
Okay.
because we have a form letter we can send out with all that.
And how you find, let's say for example, if somebody's visiting, right, and they crash the gate, but they don't live here in the community, but you have the license plate. How you go to find?
We do the best we can. I mean,
But
if we don't have the license
can you
plate,
utilize the police department or no?
typically no.
No?
They typically will not provide that information if it's somebody that's not here. But we've got your entire database of everybody who's, at least the residents have been registered.
Plus, remember with the current system, unless they use public access, we'll know where they're going. You
Yeah.
have to
Well, that too.
be granted access and it'll be tied to a homeowner.
And
Yeah,
can you
we
file
do
a
have it in
case?
our rules too, that residents are responsible for the actions of their guests.
Correct.
And that's also too, it's gonna help to put a provision in there about, damage to the gate specifically. There's already a provision that anyone that damages property, the CDD's property is responsible for reimbursing the CDD. That's in the current version of the rules that you just saw today, but that's why I was suggesting.
But in the worst case scenario, the person, you don't know where they live or attached to any resident, can you open a case in the
Yeah,
court with the license plate?
So, I mean, you would have to name someone in a lawsuit that you are going to sue for that amount. The problem is that when you look at an attorney's hourly rate, if you're saying, okay, there was damage to the gate and it cost you $2,000, you could eat up $2,000 quickly on that. And then also, I mean, you could go after them also for attorney's fees, because that would be a damage that the CDD incurred, but then you're looking at judgment collection. Even if you get a judge to say, okay, here you go, you are wrong, you owe them $3,000, you have to collect on that individual, and maybe they don't have any assets in their name, but you can actually collect them. So that's maybe if you had a prior counsel that said, look, it's maybe not worth it for you to pursue a legal action against them.
Yeah, I would.
But if you go case by case and know what we can do, okay, yes.
Typically, again, Derek can correct me on his districts, typically the folks that hit the gates are typically residents or they're vendors. And so if they're a vendor and they've got their name, anything on the vehicle, we've got it. I mean, that's I would say 75% of my gate damages is from either a vendor that wasn't paying attention or a resident.
Understood.
The next item we have is just kind of a cleanup item. So this is resolution 2024-01. This is amending the fiscal year 23 budget. Obviously, you've seen the financials for 23, so there were some, we spent more in the general fund than we had in assessments. We're utilizing fund balance for that. I know we talked about that as part of our budget process. What this resolution does is just transfer monies to recognize that it's required so that when they start your audit, you have a balanced budget, essentially. If we didn't do this, you wouldn't have a balanced budget, which is required by the state. So this is really just a cleanup, and they're just moving money on paper so that your budget, your revenues and your expenses match in your general fund.
So how much are we spending over budget?
So there's two kind of questions. So they account for anything that's not been spent yet, but when you get to your financials, I think it looks like you're about 70,000 over overall. So budget to actuals through September, it was 57 over. So about 60,000 over.
67 over.
Does that account for the 16,000 that we were able to recuperate, or no?
I'm
Probably
not
not.
sure.
Right?
That's,
Yeah, because we just got confirmation, so.
Yeah.
I guess we could factor that in too, so we were able to recuperate the 16.
They do when they balance these, and we still haven't finalized the full year yet. We do more, so this one's actually an adjustment of about 150. But again, we want to make sure we capture everything, because if there's invoices that come in after we do this, and it puts us back over a negative, it's going to get noted in the audit. So again, this is not really affecting the financials overall of the district. We accounted for these.
Just to make a balance.
It's just balancing your budget on paper.
Does this reflect already the gate expense, or?
Yes. Yeah, anything that's been expended so far in this fiscal year.
So we need to do a.
So you see your security services at $88,000, which is the gate.
How much did we spend on security last year?
No, security like that. I think he's asking.
Security was, we upped it to 15,000, so let me see, let me go to the financials, it's in two separate.
Yeah, because last year they didn't have it either with the budget.
Yeah.
So they were using the general.
Security this year, we spent 9,900.
So we were under budget?
We were over by about 3,000.
3,000. And the gate?
The gate, we're actually under budget by 5,000, but because you had those so many months without Invera.
Yeah.
So Invera was like almost 8,900.
10,000.
5 months of 45,000.
Now, again, there may be some invoices that haven't hit these lines yet that are still attributable to last fiscal year, but.
Are the 28 that we pay to the gate?
That's it.
That's for sure in here?
Is there any other discussion on the budget amendment or a motion to approve?
I do a motion to approve the resolution 2024-01.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Behind that, speaking of your audit, we want to go ahead and have your current auditor under contract so they can start the audit as quick as possible. We should be wrapping up those financials here in the next couple of weeks with any outstanding invoices. This is just their annual agreement. We factored in this as part of your budget, so we can take any questions or comments from the board, but it'd be our recommendation to go ahead and approve that contract for your auditors for 23.
Is this the same CPA firm that's been doing the?
Yeah, and they've done a decent job, so we're not inclined to bid it out at this point.
What's your experience with this vendor?
They're good. They're good. You know, our big thing is we want to make sure they get it done and it's done on time, because you do have to get it in by June 30th. They've been compliant with your district so far. We went back and looked at the historical, so we think there's probably not a lot of value in changing at this point. Again, you can. There is a process to bidding that out, which takes 90 days or so. Which again would put you 90 days later into starting the audit, and then you could potentially have a brand new auditor, which wouldn't have any experience with the district.
And the issue that happened, before, it wasn't their fault,
There
right?
was no-
Okay, it was,
That's
okay,
correct, the vendor.
okay.
How much they will charge?
This one is a not to exceed of 10,000. They may bill less than that, so it's 10,000 is what they're not to exceed.
Do you have how much was last year?
I think it was 9.
They're gonna charge 9,999.
No, well, they do go up every year. I mean,
They might,
that's- Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the Keith McCullough engagement agreement.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. And finally, it's just a follow-up to those gate items that Jared was kind of talking about. So obviously, we did note that the RFID reader and the SOS needed to be repaired. The SOS was quoted at $890, and the RFID reader was quoted at $3,840. We did hold these for a couple weeks. Jared and I tried to do some due diligence. We looked at both purchasing the parts individually and having another vendor install it. That was not cheaper than this. We also looked at having another vendor do the work, which was pretty close to double this. So after finding that information out, we went ahead and just approved these from your current vendor with a recommendation from the chair. So what we'd look to do is have a motion to ratify those. And again, these were repairs that we deemed necessary for the gate to open. Again, there are some other kind of more aesthetic ones later.
Now, are we 100% sure that Kings is not going to keep adding more stuff as we go along? I mean, I'm kind of taken aback by this because I feel like, a vendor should have came out here and assessed the situation once we got under agreement, and this should not be an item that comes up now. It should have came up before they installed the equipment. They should have troubleshooted everything, and they should have said, the RFID is not working, this is not working, and I think that didn't happen. And what makes me mad about this, to be honest with you, is that they were trying to extort us of an extra $2,000 at one point for powder coating the gates, and I feel like he's shafting us now by making him pay what he lost on those gates. That's what this is about, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But, it is what it is, but I think moving forward, I think you guys, especially Jared, should kind of make sure that these things, even with the camera system, when he comes in, make sure that he checks all the wires and everything, and he knows that he's not going to come back and say, well, we need this, or we need that later, because, I just feel he's making redundant.
Yeah, and just to put in perspective, I have been working with Jared for weeks on this because I was feeling the same way that Kings was getting out. So I found the part, and we found it for like $1,700-$1,800 a part. But then to buy it, to get somebody to install it, it was costing, but I didn't want to give more. But we didn't have no option, and then having someone else to install it, then he can say that they damaged something else, and it was, pain. But yeah, moving forward, you know, Jared, Jason, we're working on it, on now making sure, you know,
And
the
again,
vendor knows, yeah.
we share the same feeling, which is
Yeah.
why we wanted to do a whole lot of due diligence on these to make sure that it wasn't, you weren't being overcharged.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, again, we looked at a vendor that we trust a whole lot, and it was almost double by the time we would have done the same work.
Didn't push back on every additional proposal that's I promise you.
And I appreciate you guys did that since the beginning, especially the turn that she has to get in the middle. This is a vendor that only has a 2-year experience on what he's doing. And the sense that I got when he came here and he was talking and he got that phone call from his wife, it's just like he doesn't care. He's just milking the district, in my opinion. And he's going to try to get any time that he can out of the district before he's out of here. He's like a leech, sucking out the blood and sucking the money out of the district. I don't have any confidence on this vendor, and hopefully I'm wrong, but this is my personal opinion. I see a BS when I see it.
Yeah, and that,
Well, in every case, we can hold them to that original contract, we're doing so.
Yeah.
I mean, these are items that weren't included in that original contract. I mean, these weren't part of the scope of what he did. These are required for the system to work properly, so.
and also moving forward, I told Jared to find someone to do the maintenance care, you know, start finding a company, because I don't trust this person anymore, you know, to do anything moving forward. And also, if anything breaks, I told Jared just to make sure, go there, make sure it's broken, you know, before anything.
So you're saying the 1-year maintenance agreement that he included in his contract, we're not gonna?
I don't know.
My recommendation would be, let's use that, you've already paid for it, and we will push him back on everything that is needed as part of that, so they'll perform the 2 PMs.
Yeah, but
We'll do everything that's a part of that agreement, and simultaneously start looking for somebody at the end of that agreement, that can service the equipment and do the accounting properly. But on these, is there a motion to approve or ratify these estimates?
Question before we
Yes.
go that far, on the SOS, was there any warranty? There's a warranty on the RFD high reader for 2 years. Did we ask anything about the warranty on the SOS? I don't see anything else, that's why I'm asking.
I don't see one listed, but we'll ask
Say
you.
that again?
the
So
warranty,
there's no warranty on the SOS system, but if you look at the RFDI or
yeah,
RFID reader,
they got 2 years.
there's a 2-year warranty. Much more expensive part, but what says that the almost $900 SOS system doesn't go
Correct.
down, a relay or whatever he claimed it was. We just follow through with that.
I'll give a verification on that. A lot of times with these parts, they do have manufacturer warranties, and that 2-year warranty is a manufacturer warranty.
Then he's saying also that he's not including it in the preventive maintenance agreement. Which means if it goes bad within a year, we're gonna have to pay for another one.
Oh, yeah, for resulting vandalism.
Yeah.
Are not included, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the,
Hey, he's already installed this though, right?
We believe so, yeah. He hasn't been paid yet, those invoices haven't come in for these yet, so we're gonna verify that before he gets paid.
That's fine.
so motion to approve the 2 invoices for King's Access Control. First one is $890 for the SOS system, and the second one for the RFID reader for $38,840.
Hey, can I just add one more thing?
Sure.
So, I think because I did price this through the vendor that I had brought to the table before we signed the contract with this guy. And on the 3840, I believe he said he could save us about $400. So in my opinion, because I'm so mad at this guy for what he's done to us, if the equipment's not installed, I think we should use somebody else for this, because he's not providing us any value with regards to anything happening within that year.
You said $400?
At least he said about $400 from what
You
the.
can't even buy the RFID reader for $400.
No, save
No,
it,
I
save
said
it.
he'd save us from this 3840. I think he said he could save us about $400. I mean, I can send you his contact and you can figure it out. But what I'm trying to say is if the guy hasn't done the work, we probably should consider hiring somebody else to do the work. even if it means, I mean, I would like for us to save money on it if we can, even if it's $400, but at least we'll be sure that this guy's not gonna keep extorting us some money for the next year. So,
Got a motion, is there a second?
I second the motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah, most.
Pass 3-1. With that, we've got district council.
Okay. Great, so I'll just give a couple updates quickly. Since the last meeting, I've been working on updating both sets of those rules that we discussed today. I have followed up on the accounting issue that I briefly touched on. You'll recall that there's approximately $9,100 still outstanding. We are continuing to work with that prior vendor's counsel, and I can give you all the details. I'm not going to get on the record about specifics on that issue. But basically, there's some new updates, but we are still, it's still under investigation. We're still working with their counsel to get refunded the full $9,100, okay? And then the other follow-up that we've been doing with the vendor on the spike strips at the entrance. Jared has met with that vendor's representative. They wanted to send someone out to review the issue. There's some discussion right now that the vendor had recommended maintenance for the spike strips, and the prior board may or may not have approved that or rejected that recommendation at that time. I've gone back because I do think that the language in the agreement that was signed by the district requires that prior vendor to indemnify the CDD for any damage. And so I'm still waiting to get a response from their attorney on that. Okay. So at some point, you know, Jared has already put tape over the spike strips.
So the tape was just a temporary thing until we figured out how to permanently disable so I can get my crew here. So 85% of the strips are mechanically disabled. The one that's still up does not have the proper bolt and screw that locks the spike strip down. I cannot disable it at the moment without changing hardware or anything like that.
Okay, so
So
basically
we just have to wait on them then, we can't just go ahead and fix it and then have them pay us for it later? Because I mean, it's kind of a nuisance that we're still clearing any liability on that from homeowners that may get tire damage, the homeowners that are having to listen to those spike strips all night long. You know, I just don't.
I think they just met, the representative from that company and our folks just met, I think last week, right? Last week, Monday or something like that, Tuesday. And so I'm with you. I think that at some point I need to put them on notice that, hey, we're going to make this repair and then we will be seeking indemnification from you. But the idea was that proposal that you all approved for removing this, the strip, that was $2,800. Under the agreement, they may say, well, we're just required to repair it. So what I said to them is, what are you willing, you know, our desire is to remove the spike strip, or you compensate, or you reimburse us the $2,800 to do so. So they've just met last week with GMS. They've done the site visit. I'm waiting for the response from their attorney.
And the preventive maintenance was suggested by the manufacturer of the strips or by the installer?
My understanding is by the vendor.
The vendor that installed
Correct.
it. And we don't have minutes of which meeting that took place.
We would probably have to.
Check on it.
That's not something that was communicated by their attorney to me, so I don't know if that's their official defense, and I don't, you know, their attorney has not indicated to me that they're not willing to make the repair or.
Yeah, I was in those meetings and I didn't recall them saying maintenance, you know, nothing like that.
Okay, I think
But
that might have been communicated. You had said there was a mention of maintenance responsibility or something like that.
So what was said to me was their work order that they presented for $19,000 was for the installation only.
Correct.
Of the spike strips. They said that they had mentioned offering a quarterly or bi-yearly maintenance plan to go with it, because they said that it was needed and that would be a separate charge, and the CDD apparently did not want to accommodate that. So that's
I mean, that's not an official defense, it was just
Yeah.
discussion behind the scenes. with Rosa.
But let's
So,
figure out if they
we
have it
have
in the
to-
minutes or
You know,
a
we have to
proposal.
see what position they're going to take.
Is the manufacturer of those spike strips located here in Florida?
I'm not sure, I was on their website and on their specifications page says it requires virtually no maintenance, but that could mean anything, I would never.
No, I'm just questioning whether or not the issues that they were installed improperly, because I'm telling you, they didn't even last a year, I feel like.
From the pictures on the manufacturer's website.
It appears,
Close, but they're saying that I don't know, okay, what is the exact cut line that the manufacturer represents? Things do change. I don't, we have to rip out the whole system to get those comparisons for that type of thing.
Okay, so hopefully I'll have an update for you very soon. Okay, so that's all I have for you today, actually, unless you have
Thank
any
you.
questions for me.
Did we ever look into the plats for the CBD and see what we own and not own? Because I think this dot issue is still getting under my skin and I wanna know if we own it or not.
oh, he got it
Jared's got some information on
for later.
Okay,
It's
later.
in my business.
Gotcha, oh, I'm sorry.
it. No worries.
Move on.
We've got the minutes from your August 17th and September 12th meeting. Those minutes were included as part of your agenda package. We can take any corrections or comments at this time, or a motion to approve those as written.
So I would do a motion to approve the minutes of August 17th.
Well, you can do September, you can do them both.
Both
Yeah,
and September. September what day? Well,
12.
September 12th.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Quickly, I know we touched on the gate access, so is there a preference on the board on when you want to go ahead and try to start getting that activated? My thought was, once we verify the equipment, we can send another blast out to the HOA, and maybe 2 weeks from that point, we just set the drop dead date and put it active.
My suggestion is not to activate it until we have working cameras.
Well, that's what I mean, okay. That's what I was saying, so after we get the cameras,
2 weeks from this week.
after we get the cameras, after we get the, make sure the RFID and the SOS are properly, at that point, we just hit 2 weeks.
And the speed bumps, I think they.
Oh,
Did we make an official announcement
Yeah.
of that 2 week notice so that everyone's kind of on notice?
Well, I would certainly do that. Here's what I can do. Once we have all that information verified, I'll circulate an email to the board and with an announcement saying, this is my time frame, and I'll give you a couple days to give me any feedback, and I'll build that couple days into that time frame.
And also, when you're ready to send that communication, maybe 2 days later, just start sending the emails to everybody about activating, because
Yes.
then it takes time for people to
Yes.
activate their accounts, and it's better just for them to be ready when
Yes.
the gates are closed.
Okay.
Send-
Okay, so we'll proceed in that direction. I know Jared's probably gonna touch on the repair. Okay. I know the AC repair, we're still working on getting quotes. Camera access we touched on, we're on hold
Which AC repair?
here.
Oh, I thought we had that already, no?
Yeah, I think it's looking for somebody else,
We didn't approve
up to 8,000, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, well, we got
It's
one,
been lingering several months. I mean,
Well, the quote was actually from January, the one we went back and looked, so we're trying to verify it.
Yeah, because it gets hot in here, lots of time. And is that AC that we're looking to replace also cool that area, the main area?
So I have to get with the vendor on that. To my knowledge, there's separate systems. One is supposed to be designed for the gym side, and then one is for here. But I don't know because some of the rooms, it'll be cold in the gym, but if you walk into the GMS office, for example, it can be randomly hot in there with no AC.
Yeah, I came a
I have
couple of
to have
times.
them do a full look at all this just to make sure. It could be something simple as there's a conduit line.
Yeah.
But I want them to look at everything. It is in progress and that is next on the list, but road issue has been the most demanding product.
That's very hot, it gets hot, I've been here a couple of times.
Like, if I'm being honest, it comes down to if you want to hold the road or it's a little hot. I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I'm just letting you know.
I got a quick question on the AC system. I'm an engineer and I talk about it. You answer something about the AC system. You're saying it's hot in there, but commercial space like that, you have two separate systems.
Yep.
One of them are different, but it's a balance.
We are looking at
Yeah.
But you need to balance the AC system because that was the first vent. That's why everybody here has been hot and been cold in their house because the AC system is not balanced.
Correct.
Balance is distributed evenly throughout each distribution vent.
That's what we need to get, yeah, someone, because
Well,
it's
you can
never
also
been
contact
done.
me on that, and you might help on that, because I can sort that out right away.
That is the very next project that we'll dig into. Like I said, that's gonna be part of the inspection.
And then we also touched on the spike strip, and I know we're looking at the clubhouse roof as an additional project. Beyond that, we've got the check register. So in your general fund, we've got checks 5731 through 5750 for $57,012.99. There's a summary of those invoices that follow. Jared and I can answer any questions, or we can take a motion to approve.
What is that belt and bench? They fixed something on the 649? Lancey belt and bench pad.
What page?
Bottom page 84.
Yeah, I don't have the page here. What's it, 24?
Bottom
Says
page.
Landis belt
84.
and bench pad. That's exercise equipment.
Yeah, but what is that?
That's the cushion to the pad, right, to the bench.
Oh, it says bench.
The bottom of page 84, Jared, last line item.
And Landis belt isn't part of the.
Well, that proposal was from May 31st, so it was, I think it was before.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah,
know, it's because the proposal they sent recently for.
Yeah.
Okay. Just make sure, I don't know, because I know if this is like the treadmill something, we need to keep checking how much money we're putting into it, because if we put in too much, it's better just to get and find a proposal to get a new one, because, you know, it's gonna keep adding. I know a lot of this treadmill, they've been adding,
I will say with these treadmills and these group facilities, we have to have people come in and replace stuff all the time continuously. It's just a.
No, if it's a maintenance thing, then yeah, you know, but if it's getting bad, like, you know.
If it was something that, if it was $650 every single month, okay, I would recommend we give a different option. The quarterly maintenance right now and also the last inspection, their repair, I think it should have been under $200. So I'm not sure what this invoice was from, but I'm looking for that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, we'll track that down and find it.
86, Jared, replace spa hose by Technicals. Last line on page 86. Looks like it was from August 30th. For almost $250.
Yeah, Jared, and well, he find
That
that.
might just be a labeling thing.
And that's why I want to make sure the spa's not working.
Correct.
They're not be spending $250 to put a hose in the spa. It doesn't work.
And do we know the status of that, when we're gonna get?
I'm working on proposals right now. He sent me proposals, but they're not what I was looking for, so I have to get back with them. And I've asked other vendors to come out and look at it, so that's being worked on as well.
Okay, just to make sure, like, if we gotta get a gas or get an electric, because,
I
yes.
would recommend getting away from any type of gas. And
Yeah.
straight electric. So that's been my primary ask of them.
Okay,
I'm assuming this is in reference to a hose leak on the main pump. I will give them.
okay.
Just sounded weird when I looked on the item. I was like,
So,
It's not very big to point that out.
so even though it's not working, the pump is still circulating? We're still running the pump?
So, to my knowledge, the spa pump was still working, and it's just used to keep it not green. It's not actually turning on any heat or doing anything like that. It's just making sure it doesn't turn into an algae cesspool. So I'll find out.
Can we empty it and stop running, save electric, save electric around the pump? I mean.
That one doesn't
any
damage,
additional parts?
but if we,
I'll double check just to make sure it's not like running in synchronicity with the main pool.
Yeah.
But I'll check.
but if we empty and make sure, like, if that doesn't crack the lining, because I know it sometimes it does, like when you empty it out completely, it damages then we have to research it.
Good call.
I would let it run.
Huh?
You would let it run. Spot.
We'd like to mix it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna get heat, but maybe you see it massage as a pool.
I'd like to see it do that. I'd like to see it serving its purpose.
Yeah, but I think we got more issues. It was more the chemicals and some other things, yeah, in there.
There's a lot
So we
of
have to
issues.
fix
So
it.
the main issue is, we've revisited this a couple of times, is it's a gas, thing. They haven't filled the gas in years, so we don't even know if there's any leaks or anything going on. So it has to be checked and then figure out how much it's gonna cost to repair it versus how much it would cost to replace it to electric rather than gas. To see what the cost benefits are.
Well, you talking about the pool heater?
No, the spot.
The
Just
spot.
a spot.
Yeah, the
Hot tub. Come next month on, you're not gonna get either under 55, 50 degrees. That's the heat of the work.
And again,
When you run the heat pump system, electric heat, and you get below 55, 50 degrees, it ain't gonna cool it.
yeah, no, you're right.
Because the ambient temperatures outside cooler than they get precipitated, because you got reverse motion.
I don't know the specifics. I know
Yeah.
nothing about that. I'm just trying to find out what's the best way to get it fixed.
Gas, and you obviously get an instant hot.
Okay.
Good to know, thank you.
So we need to approve the check,
Yeah,
right?
we need just a motion and a second.
So I made a motion to approve the check registry.
But provided we're looking for these two expenses, right?
We'll look into it and get
Yep.
the answers.
I'll second it.
Motion made a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Behind that is your balance sheet and income statement. There's no action required by the board. In your general fund, as I indicated, we're approximately $60,000 over budget. We just accounted for that as part of that budget amendment you did. We'll point out on the positive side, you are at 100% collected on your assessments. So that's one of the plus sizes of being in a CDD. Behind that, we provided you all of your Osceola County Sheriff's reports as we get them in. And we'll let the star of the show go. So we got Jared over here.
Star of the show. You're on.
For landscaping, I know I talked about this in our proposal last meeting, but I don't know if I explained it right or made it clear enough of what we're actually looking at with the palm tree boots. So pretty much every one of the property is at a different length or a different condition. As you can see, the one from the top picture, this is right here at the clubhouse. They are breaking apart, they're falling over places. If there's a storm, they can cause damage, if they can potentially hit somebody. It becomes a maintenance nightmare for them trying to keep up with this. And I am getting a little bit of pushback on it if they have to do it consistently because they've offered you a price for fixing the issue. And I'm just giving you all the facts here. My recommendation is to address this so that it isn't a problem. Even if it's a very tiny safety concern, it is still something that we could be liable for. So you know. With that, I'll have the proposal again at the end, and we can look at that. Mulching the playground was completed, so that is up to standards now. We removed another dead pine tree that was right across the street from here. Typically, we try to get these before they fully decline so they don't collapse right from notice. I generated an ownership map with everything defined between CBD, county, HOA. This is the bottom of the report. We'll talk about that in a second. And I'll be reviewing everything with Juan to make sure we're only paying for CBD property and vice versa. And then the annuals were changed out because they were the last batch of that contract. Going forward, we will be utilizing these at different locations, but the new ones are in for the moment right here. I do have another proposal from Blade Runners for installing sod in those places where we ripped out by burn hedge, and that proposal also covers replacing the sod that was damaged at the homeowner's house right by the View of Care Road tears. People were having to drive around the depression onto their this proposal will be covering that.
What was that? Who's driving what?
So where the Otero crushes were,
Uh-huh.
they were in the middle of the street, people had to drive them to the homeowner's property. Just to replace that small section in there as well. There's a couple things that we would like to look at over the next fiscal year in terms of reducing mulch beds across the property, replacing it with sod so that it'll be much easier to maintain going forward, reduce the cost of any mulch replacements throughout the year. It just gives an overall better look. You don't have pine bark mulch in particular washes out way too easily, it just floats away. I would recommend at some point replacing pine bark with cypress, Lycopodium cypress. This is a much better option, it's not going to float away as much. And on these pictures, I kind of drew out a brief layout of how I would like it to look. Just for visual reference, really the action on this tonight is just preparing you for some of the things down in the future. The plants that were installed at the top time there, they are establishing well, they're looking good, so that's nice. I want to make sure they were in place before the fall season and freezes come in, so we're good there. The asphalt, the speed repair was scheduled. The asphalt speed bump installation was scheduled for yesterday. It's been postponed until tomorrow. They have their truck broke down on the way here, so it will be here tomorrow. I made sure to let them know again that only close down one lane at a time, so it's not blocking any sort of traffic. And they said once they install the speed bumps, 30 minutes to an hour, they're ready to go after that. So we should have same day operation. We removed the old speed bumps. We have in the delineation post right there to prepare for the speed bump installation. We have those in storage right now. If we decide that we want to use them somewhere else at some point, we can, but right now they're in storage.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. I think when you go out, when you come tomorrow, you're gonna see the middle one where you took all those. That's gonna be the speed bump. So I think it's not gonna be the whole area. So I think we need to add a few of those balls just to cover whatever is left.
Section just in preparation, so we didn't know exactly where they were going to want them. Once they're installed, we can adjust any delineation posts and everything from now.
Thank you.
Moving on to the big hot topic issue is the Otero road repairs are now complete. I have inspected them and we're waiting on Peter to also inspect them and get his final sign off on that. When I met with, they initially gave us a price off their sales team inspections. When their general contractor, the main one, came out and looked at it, he saw the terrain and said that we didn't actually need to dig around as deep as we thought. They were going to dig down 15 feet, install drain boxes, that type of thing. They said that wasn't necessary, so they drained out the pipe. They said the pipe condition was good when they drained everything out and looked at it. They repaired a main hole at the joint on both pipes. That's all good to go now. And then they just cut enough to do the asphalt repair that needed to be done, so everything's good. The overall price is just going to be based off work that was completed. It's not going to be that $74,000 that we had approved. It's going to be much cheaper. My fair estimate would be somewhere between 30 and 40 is what I'm guessing, but we won't know that. It might be a little higher, might be a little lower. Pending Peter's inspection, that is complete. Send that off our list finally.
Did he already come out and inspect it?
Huh?
Did he really come out and inspect it?
Well, I had asked him to inspect it this week, so I'm just waiting for his report.
Yeah.
So how does Peter will inspect that? He has to open the manhole again down there, or?
No, so the hole where it was is above water level. Yeah. You can visibly see the hole. So he just needs to come in, prop the manhole, look at that, make sure that there's no visual issues with the seal. And like I said, it's a quick visual inspection. If there's any issues over the next few months, we'll continue to monitor and come back up there to repair any issues like that.
How much is the warranty on that job? A year?
I believe it's a year. I will double check on that. I don't have the agreement in front of me right now. I don't
We need to
I'm
buy a
kind of
standard
glad,
one.
I'm surprised that they don't have to do anything with the pipe.
When I initially looked at it, my initial thought was there was no issue with it.
It's on the side.
Because you
It's the
could easily
connection.
see the hole in the gap and the groundwater coming into it. There wasn't a lot of groundwater in the pipe, it just looked like it was standing water because of the normal elevation. So my initial said, those are HDPE pipes, they're not concrete pipes. So they're typically more durable and less likely to crack, and if they do crack, they'll fall down. So I'm happy with where it is right now. Unfortunately, we didn't get actual CCTV. They took a few pictures while they were down there, but they didn't have, it was a very quick repair. Basically, they called me last week and said, hey, are our pipe guys ready to go? Are you guys okay with us if we start this? And I didn't want to delay the process.
And pretty much all the issues we have here is that, because Puerta del Sol happened the same thing, it's on the side, just breaking the connection between the pipe and the basin.
Right, and if there's groundwater going through there, it's all shifting, that's where you see the separation. So luckily, it is fixed now. They did use some extra asphalt, they obviously brought extra. So if you're driving down Via Otero, the first impression, the second impression is here on the exit lane, right before you go out the stop sign there. That there was a small depression forming. They went ahead and used all the extra asphalt they had there, so they leveled that off, so the water would run directly as well.
Now, there's no problem there?
No, we believe it was just because of the amount of water that was coming in through that hole, it was pulling excess groundwater. So we'll keep an eye on it, but to our knowledge, there's nothing.
Did they mention anything about the weight of the trucks going around the area? No. Because I think that was the issue. Those 30,000 to 40,000 pounds trucks going through that small alley, we only has 1/4 of an inch paving. That probably caused that.
Correct. I'm not an engineer, so I won't be able to comment on that. You probably want multiple lifts in the area if you're having those work machines, but I'll defer to people in that.
Who actually did the repairs in these depressions? What company?
It was offering overseeing everything.
They were the ones who actually did the repair?
So
Overseeing with different
they have their separate sub-companies.
Atlantic Piping, did the injections, Atlantic Pipe. No, it's here on the photo. APS. That's the one that did the injections.
Isn't that the same company though that does our CCTV?
Mm-hmm. The same one.
The ones that were paid to do the CCTV?
It might be.
Yeah.
It could be, we've never been through that process yet.
Yeah, that's the same one.
It was the one that the previous board used, the Atlantic piping. And that's the one that it was recommended by the engineer.
No, I'm not questioning the job they do, I just don't understand why we're hiring third-party contractors to hire companies that we're already working with. It makes no sense. Seems like there's a markup all the way along, and it makes no sense.
Different projects, and they subcontracted the small jobs to the smaller companies.
So, any update on the other 6 to 4 or 5 or 6 depressions all over the community? Because I think we need to be proactive, and I was hoping to see Peter here today, because there's a lot of depressions that have been here for years. And I went to look at the one at Via Preciosa the other day. My God, was I surprised. That thing's about 3 feet deep at this point. You get a kid to go down there, he's gonna get stuck. And that's a big liability for the district. So I think that should be top on everybody's priority to get that depression repaired. And there's no asphalt there to be contended with. That's just a matter of going to seal the leak and filling it with dirt.
I think that one, I gave it to you, the one on 3009.
And then I have, on my street, there's about 2 depressions going on right now, also on the right of way into the bottom of the curb that need to be addressed. And I'm sure if I drive around some more, I'll find a couple more. But I think, we're spending all this money on CCTV, on all the fancy things, when what's obvious needs to be repaired. Because otherwise, it's gonna keep washing out, and then we're gonna have $60,000 repairs, $70,000 repairs. But right now, I think those repairs are probably less than 10 grand, 15 grand.
And then also in front of 3011, on that same street, that street is, sinking. I told Peter about it, but.
3011 what?
Via Preciosa, on the street that is sinking by the driveway as well. And it's a close by storm water, so maybe something in there is.
I will be with him, get a detailed list of everything, and you can walk around the community instead of driving around and looking at all these depressions.
Well, when I asked him last time, he said he was gonna go take a look at them. I don't know. I never heard back from him.
I have no idea from that yet. I will get with him and go over that full list. My plan would be, if we're gonna be repairing anything road-wise or anything, I would recommend obviously addressing anything like that first.
Yeah.
If we know we're working on stormwater repairs or anything like that, then we should identify those just visually, come up with a plan to either replace the section or do what we just did, and maybe some cap.
No, correct, and that one, I'm kinda a little, upset because he got the cones and he got all the barricade for years, and nothing been done, and that's concerning, and the whole, huge, that resident keep calling.
I have not been there in over a year and a half, and when I went the other day, it's grown at least 3 times as much as it was before. It was maybe like a foot when I went there before. Now it looks like it's 3 feet deep.
You might wanna ask him to the GVW weight once you prepare it.
What's that?
You got the GVW weight on
Uh-huh.
the road. And then keep one to a little after you prepare it.
No, that's a good question. Well, the one I'm talking about, it's in the back of the house. It's not even in the
Oh,
street. Yeah. So, that's one thing. The other thing is, I think we keep neglecting the fact that this clubhouse needs a roof. And I think that, at some point, we need to fix this roof, replace it, whatever needs to be done. But that's never in the agenda. I mean, we got landscaping on the agenda, which I think can wait. But, we're lucky enough to have made it through another hurricane season so far without any problem. What's that?
Listen, landscaping happens because Juan's typically here when I'm doing my inspection. So we're going around driving and looking at everything together, and I say, hey, give me this. He does all the legwork for the proposals and everything, we just say add it to the agenda. So that's already done. So roof inspections, we're working with other companies right now, we're trying to get them here next and get,
Somebody on the roof there this morning, somebody was up on the roof this morning,
It was on the roof this morning. That was not me.
somebody was on the roof with a ladder.
Here,
Here, I just building.
Do you know what company it was?
It was, the guy had one of those ladders that fold, and he had a little Honda, and he was up on the roof, walking around the roof this morning.
so check the cameras. Yeah.
I have a question about landscape.
I've asked for a proposal
After-
from a company, but I don't know, they didn't give me any, and they didn't say they were coming or anything like that. I just asked for a proposal, which is Janney Roofing. I don't know if that's what it was, but I just asked them to provide a proposal because I think we've seen 2 or 3 proposals already, and I just feel like nothing's been done. And I think we need to be purposeful. We need to figure out, because I tell you that covered area there looks ridiculous. I mean, that has to be repaired. And I don't think we should put any money into it until we're sure that,
The roof.
that's pretty shoddy roof work they approved there before, and I think it needs to be done correctly. And we need to make sure that gets repaired for aesthetics as well, and safety.
What else we got?
So I would like to see the depressions and the roof here to be top priority in terms of capital projects. I don't think we should spend another penny on anything else, CCTV or anybody else, until these issues get addressed.
You should also look into the insurance.
That's another story.
It's a roof.
You're
What
right.
is the insurance for? That's the claim. And we don't have to pay for nothing. That comes out of the insurance.
I think
Right,
they
Jared,
did.
what's up
before.
next?
Okay. In terms of gate update, while we're installing, next to the gate kiosk, you can see on the pictures there how the screen works if you haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
How much did that cost?
I'm sorry?
How much did the 2 buildings cost?
The ballards.
We approved it last
They were
meeting.
the last meeting.
We put up,
But how much did it cost? It's another add-on to that gate.
yeah, it was approved last meeting.
Did you guys do it, or did he do it?
Yes.
Yeah, how much was it? 1,200. Another 1,200.
Okay, continue.
The public access code is displayed on the kiosk there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to go, that should cover everything that we need. As discussed, the RFID reader and SOS systems are being repaired, and now we'll get to them. And if it hasn't been done yet, like I said, we'll take note of course corrections. CDD roads, orange would be our CDD common areas, so including clubhouse, clubhouse ponds and everything like that. And this is as it is presented on property appraiser. And purple is the HOA sections, the roads and their common areas. The yellow here, this is the section that we are still looking into. This is, as reflected by property appraiser, says that it's owned by the county. So we are working on this and trying to figure it out. This gives you a visual of what we're looking at. This is what I will be using for the moment to go over the landscaping contract. I will have two pricing options for the county side of the ponds. If we're maintaining it or if the county's supposed to maintain it, we'll find that out, but we'll have all those numbers ready to go once it's done and confirmed.
And can we figure out if
Yes.
something can be done with the, I don't know, the county and get
Right,
that property back and see
I
how?
also, well, it was deeded to the
Yeah,
county.
I know,
saw
but-
that it was deeded, so, and it appears that there was a tax deed sale, which means that the original owner didn't pay the taxes on it, so it's owned by the county now. I think one of the questions I have is there an interlocal agreement with the CDD that the CDD is responsible for maintaining it? If there's not, we don't need to maintain that property. It's owned
That's
by
my
the county.
knowledge.
Okay, and I can go.
But now you're opening up another can of worms and says, look how that property pitches on everybody's backyard on Sangria, and if you let that jungle get out of hand, you're gonna have a lot of angry homeowners wondering why it was maintained till now, and all of a sudden we're gonna stop maintaining it.
And
So-
also, it would be good if, I don't know, if possible, because I knew about the tax
Detail.
before, I don't know what they did, but yeah, if we can recoup that property, since it's in our area, to see what is the process, you know?
So,
Well, maybe the county would give it to us, but anytime that we take property, we are incurring more liability and responsibility as well. Now, there's CDDs that we have that enter into interlocal agreements with the county so that the CDD can maintain the property to the level that they want to see it, more than maybe the county or the city. So we have multiple for like medians. Sometimes there's always the county.
this is a lot of property to maintain. I just think we need to create some sort of buffer to the homes that are on there that we probably should agree to maintain, whether it's 20, 30 feet, whatever it is, so that this jungle doesn't impinge on people's yards, you know? And our landscaper's only gonna cut to the property line.
So that I understand, the prior landscaping agreements had this area included? This yellow? Oh, we're not sure yet. Okay.
To my knowledge, the open area, yeah, but there's a certain part here where you get to the point where it becomes
Yeah, this,
like unimproved land, it's kind of woods, basically. That has never been maintained, but there's an open area, everything in front of the dock and around that area was being maintained. Now, like, this brings my original question, so the dock where it's currently sitting right now, it's not on CDD property? Or is it? Because it looks like it's like in between.
Or is that HOA, the purple?
no, the
No, the
purple.
orange is CDD and the green
Where's
is,
this?
Right where the orange and yellow meet here.
we also have inside the trail that used to be in that property, we have benches and garbage cans that we purchased for that area. Now, we're allowed to remove that stuff, or just because we lost the property, then all that stuff just stays there as garbage?
So,
Yeah.
so you're saying, repeat that question.
There's a couple things I said. First, I want to know if the dock is on CDD property or not.
Okay,
Let's see,
yeah,
and
because
there is-
we're approximate is,
The dock is right here. It looks like it's somewhere in between these
Yeah.
two sandbars. Look like it's kind of where the dock should be. So it's hard to tell.
If you look at this
Technically,
map,
there's another property just
Yeah.
past where I'll color it, so I would say at the moment it's not on our property or.
And there's a property where you said?
So
There's another property between ours and the lake
property.
in the little river.
No, I saw that, and I saw that in the property appraiser records, but how did, because those people is a firm from Coral Gables who has owned that property since like the 1970s or something like that. So there has to be some sort of agreement with the developer that we put our dock there, or are you saying that the developer trespassed and just threw a dock in there without permission?
what we can do is we can order title work. We can order a title commitment and it'll show every recorded document related to to the property. And so if there's an easement or something that allowed that dock to be there, it would pop up on the title work. But if we no longer own the property, then we don't have a duty, to maintain it. Osceola County owns this yellow. We don't have to maintain that unless there's some type of agreement. So I would recommend that I look through the file from your prior attorney, and that we look through the file from Infomar to see, were there any agreements related to this property that we have responsibility for maintenance? If we don't, then we have grounds to say we're not responsible.
Okay, yeah, because,
So
yeah.
that brings me to my next question then. So the dock kind of just stays there, we just leave it there and just,
Well, if it's on the property,
that's like what I don't understand is like how we invested in this situation not being our property, and now that it's not we're confirming it's not our property.
Yeah.
Do we just leave the stuff that we bought there?
You can take a look at, I think probably the more important thing is we need to establish who owns this and whether we have any obligation to maintain it. I don't know if you want to expend, if that will answer questions about, do we need to make an argument that we have responsibility to maintain it? If there's an agreement that says we're responsible for maintaining it, or if we own the property, then we should look in, then.
Yeah,
I
I just think
that's the
this
first
property,
question.
the properties here were sold under the pretense that we had a resort lifestyle, and there was a dock here that we can use. And all of a sudden, we don't have a dock, and all of a sudden, this issue of this property that we lost
Yeah.
dates back to 2015, which is almost 8 years ago, and we've been investing money there.
In
And we need
2019.
to figure that out, because, I mean, at least, in my opinion, I think that if we do have a right to have that dock there, then we should make it functional and take care of it, rather than just leave it
So
there.
we need to
Because right now, I'm
price.
seeing a lot of residents go down there to hang out, they stand on that dock, and eventually, someone's gonna take a dive in there because it's not safe the way that dock is.
And
there'll be
if
a
that,
coming at some point.
Was part of the dock hauled away because there was a safety concern? Is that the same dock when you did your first initial walkthrough?
correct, that one,
That same dock?
yes. He put the sign, the
There's
caution
caution tape
tape.
on it,
There's caution.
but now you're saying we don't own the property.
Well, I can't confirm
I'm
with
saying-
that, but we're going off of this right now.
But what we need to do also, if it's not our, remove the signage that says BSO.
Right.
Because we got rules in here that said that is
Yeah.
our. Plus, like Mario was saying, we spent in 29, that's 2015, we lost it. In 2019, we spent like 17.5 on there. Why we spend money on something that is not ours?
In
17,000, yeah, on the dock.
refinancing the bonds, you're saying that there was money, yeah. And
Yeah, it
we
was
looked
spent on-
into that,
yeah.
So, if we don't own the property, then the question is, are we allowed to move the dock over? Can we establish an agreement to move it back into our property and kind of still provide that service that we were sold on?
Do you want to, are you like envisioning making repairs to that dock so it's usable again?
I personally would have liked that, yeah.
Okay, okay.
It sounds like once you decide to Google on what property, you get a surveyor out here and survey and find the exact lines instead of saying, well,
Yeah, that's
behind
what,
this house is it, and behind that house is it.
Yeah, there's just a
Survey
cost,
or-
yeah. Sometimes surveys can be costly.
correct.
That would be the
They
best
just find,
way.
yeah, the first thing is, like you said, find who's responsible, and then we go from
More
there.
importantly, that dock is worth quite a bit of money, and
Yeah.
it's just sitting there rotting away, and it should be on the wall.
That was sold the same way that this community was sold as a gated community, where you don't see any wall around the community.
But it has a gate.
Yeah,
But it's
and
not
we
like
got
you-
a boat dock.
Yeah, but the CDD wasn't part of any of those initial sales, so this comes up a lot. And the answer is really, you gotta go back to who sold you the home, the real estate agent that you worked with, if they made misrepresentation.
After we finish.
Okay, let's move on then.
So investigation away.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Sounds like you have more work.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll dig through the agreements and everything.
I'll try to keep my, time
Yeah.
that I'm spending on it real low.
Yeah.
If I can assist with
You
at
know-
least sending out a request for title work, but anyone could read that
Yeah.
and clearly see.
And I would start with figuring out if that bank, if we have any right to it, because that's kind of this question, somebody owns that bank.
And that's kind of a key
And
question.
if there's no easement granted, then it's end of story, we just don't belong there.
Yep.
And then the question is, can we remove the dock from there and get rid of it?
Okay.
We'll
question to start with, where's the line?
Okay, so your proposal.
This first proposal that I have, is from Labor Owners, like I said, this is for installing sod in the median border of the planks there, and then replacing the sod at homeowners, at this point, that we over here. This is for $950, and I would just need a motion to approve, that's what you guys want to do.
Does not include any of the proposed stuff here from the clubhouse that you were showing us?
No,
It's just those
that
two
is,
things?
that is a later time, that's just to show you
Yeah.
how I'm looking at your property and seeing.
So I leave this one is to the middle island, like what he discussed.
So the only reason I
Yeah.
ask is if we were to include some of that now, are we gonna get a better rate? From one, I'm getting more volume to do this stuff.
The 475 is a per pallet rate.
Yeah.
So it would just be however many more pallets you would need to do that.
I didn't,
With what's there, probably.
you gotta think about bulk, right? We get a semi-truck full of stuff, we can use it, put it down, and get a bulk deal. Let's look into it, but if this is the pallet rate, then I'll make a motion to approve this one, for $900, excuse me, and $50, for sod in the islands of Puerto del Sol and townhomes that were damaged due to the storm drain.
I second the motion.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose. What is this exactly?
So we had two oppositions? Was there two opposed? Okay, so
So-
motion doesn't pass.
So this is the island where they knocked all those bushes down,
Yes. Se jodió la grama.
and when they did the sewers on Via Otero, people were driving around, and there was some damage there, so it's to replace that.
And that's the area that requires 2 pallets?
No, and then the middle, the Puerta del Sol, where we took out all the bushes, now this open. So we decided not to put plants, so we decided to put sod on it.
No, okay, can I change my vote, because I was,
So that one already that failed, so we
So,
can make.
I was under the impression we're talking about right here in front of the clubhouse, and I was not aware they were talking outside
That-
the gate.
That, right there. Mira, look.
No, I know, but Puerto del Sol's extension to get over here.
Yeah.
Just that,
Gotcha,
on
okay,
the side of that island.
so, I'm sorry, guys.
Are you gonna make a motion?
Oh, I need to make it this time? Okay.
Well, yeah,
No, it failed.
the previous motion failed, yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
need a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the $950 for sod replacement.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? No opposed. All right, motion passes 3-1.
Next proposal is the same thing for 48 trees.
The boots.
The boots at the clubhouse, for 1,200. I know you guys are okay with
Are they cowboy boots?
Are some of those on the HOA property?
some of those. These are just for palm trees that are on,
City property.
You know,
So, quick question on this one. So, I know we gotta do this to clean up and make sure, it's safety, look good and all that. But after he started cutting the palm trees, because I think it's included on his contract, right? Cut every year the palm trees?
palm pruning is included on that.
No, correct. But if we gotta clean this, as soon as he cut new ones, he should take out, the old ones now, that's just gonna be less work to do. You know what I'm saying? So if he cut 3,
So November is the next palm pruning.
Yeah.
So this would be a part of that. Yeah. It would be a one-time thing, but like, these services are not included, that's why.
no, correct. But what I'm saying is like, we gotta pay to remove all of them. So now moving forward, he should take 2 or 3 that is there, start taking it out so it doesn't accumulate again and, be full. You know what I'm saying? So as soon as he cut the branches,
I think I'm getting resistant.
so as soon as he cut the branches, make sure if we see 2 or 3 boots, make sure to take them.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So then we don't get to this point where we have to pay extra to remove all of them. So I make the motion to approve 48 palm trees on CBD property for $1,200.
Is there a second? Okay, motion fails for lack of a second.
Next proposal
say on both of these, again, these are more aesthetic approvals, so we
Correct.
wanted to bring these to the board. I don't know that we necessarily are in favor of them, support them, but we wanted to make you aware, both with this one and the, kind of the green and red light one. You know, the green and red light, you do have the LED arms now, which will turn red and green
Yep.
when they're open and closed, so, I mean, whether you need that red or green kind of traffic light.
Yeah, I think that one, the red and light, I know it's working, so later on,
Okay.
let's do that, because I know for sure that thing is, it was working. As soon as they Embera took everything, it just need to be reconnected. So, yeah.
I think we should rebid this job because, I mean,
Yeah.
he jacked it up almost $500 from his original
Yeah, it was
proposal
800.
on this, so
Yeah.
I think we should rebid it with another company.
Since it's aesthetic, you know, and
Yeah.
people like to have
That's
the
why when
gates.
we thought it was aesthetic, if you didn't want to do it, we can find other vendors to do the same thing. I know Jared was even mentioning there may be some kind of other applications that you could do that wouldn't look too much different, maybe consider what you want.
I think you can get the same effect with a cut size aluminum reflective sign with LED lights inside. Basically you have round holes that are kind of about 2 inches thick. So you put an aluminum sign to the back of it, and then use LED strips on the inside of the ring, and that will give you an effect. It is an option.
Send it.
It looks like Christmas lights, we're getting described in
No, if you can,
The issue,
send it.
the issue I have is that the stoplight is there, we paid for it at some point in time, and I think it should have been wired to begin with whatever they installed there already, and they didn't. So the question is it more expensive to get another vendor to come and connect it? 'Cause I'm sure it's a wire, you just gotta like re-put together, it's probably like a 10-minute job. But if that is more expensive than removing it, then we're better off removing it. I just think there's no point in leaving something there, which I think in the game, we have the propensity to put things and then just leave them there, even though they're no longer functioning. As there's like 5 cameras that are dead and they're just there. So I think we need to clean it up. And I think if it's not gonna be feasible to connect it for a reasonable price, then the question is how much does it cost to get it out?
But he was mentioning also the LED about the sign, the VS. That's what he was talking about.
No, you're not talking about the street light, the light, you're talking about putting
I'm
LED?
talking about, so instead of doing water jetted VS, that would be basically VS cut out on a bracket, that would stick out like this inside that circle ring that are on the gates. So if an option would be to make a black, you basically have a black background with gold lettering on an aluminum sign that is round to fit the shape of that circle opening. And just in front of it, you put a strip of LED lights that highlight it so the VS would shine through. That way you don't have to pay $1,400 for water jetted VS letters. This would be a cheaper alternative, but it's
Can you get at
Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
BS is clearly something that we don't need.
correct.
Don't waste your time, Jared, you have other things that are more important. Appreciate the creative thinking.
All that we got for our report, so we go to any other supervisors report.
Can, well, I've got to open it for her to.
Okay, you can do that.
Yeah. Of,
People open cars 2 days ago. I have the video here at 2 a.m. morning.
There's the guys that were breaking into the cars.
yeah.
Yes.
That was 2 days ago?
Yeah, it was yesterday. At 2.
Yesterday? So this,
At 2:60 in the morning.
So that was when the helicopter was here?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that was Sunday, yeah.
I wasn't yesterday.
No.
So these are new guys.
That was the time that happened with the other video.
She says it was yesterday.
No, yesterday.
With the helicopter that happened. The helicopter
It's
was 2
happened-
days ago.
No, one day and a half. Like.
So Sunday,
It was on Monday, Sunday to
Sunday morning,
Monday morning.
morning at 3 a.m.,
At
3 o'clock in the morning, 2, 3.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, those guys got caught, the police,
Yeah, they took.
Yeah.
yeah.
But,
Yeah, the police say that they're coming from outside,
but I
walking.
want to send something to you, like
guys, or I don't know.
You can report it to Jason when you ever see stuff like
When this
that,
happened?
Yeah, you can. I mean, the HOAs can.
or the HOA.
Yeah.
Yeah. But usually those that help the police if they
Yeah,
didn't
you
get
should-
caught, yeah.
The police should be your first stop.
Yeah, I know the police,
Yeah.
I saw them.
Yeah.
They opened my car.
That was your car?
Yes.
Because you should talk to the police, because I know somebody else that had that, and they came and they're checking fingerprints and stuff on the car.
Yep.
To see if it's the same guys.
They said they're in jail right now.
Yeah, they caught them that,
Yeah.
they caught them that day at 5:30 in the morning.
Could help a child.
You need to go to the sheriff. I would say, yeah, send it to the sheriff department and they can, help you.
Yeah, no, I'm sure with them.
Okay.
I sent them all the videos.
Thank you.
Thank-
I got two items for you guys with our requests. First off, for some reason, the Endura contract here is stuck in my mind that it was this fall we were stuck in that. And so I don't remember the date, but I want to say it was fall of this year.
Yeah,
For
September.
monitoring services for the clubhouse.
It ended in September.
Yep.
It ended in September. Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we didn't miss that deadline to cancel.
Terminate.
Yeah.
We went through that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we cancel,
It was
yeah.
sticking in my mind, and I want to make sure that
There
we.
was gonna be a
Good.
penalty,
Over.
but now we are out
Yeah,
of
good.
all having to do with the,
Gotcha. I was just sticking in my mind, and I was like, I'm gonna ask.
yeah.
And the other thing is, our alarm system, is it active? Are we turning it on every night in this building?
It's active, but we cannot put it up because the
Access
the
system.
packs, yeah, until we can get timing on your access card, then we cannot, because we gotta have so many false alarms.
And we need a new system for that, and we can't afford one. right?
Then
Yeah,
why are
because
we
it's gonna
paying
be-
for monitoring systems every month
Good question,
Yeah,
for nothing?
very good question.
yeah, it's $50 a month, yeah, with all alarm.
So what is the suggestion?
If it's not getting on, all it's doing is consuming energy and costing us money. Let's
But I
get rid of
doubt it that you can cancel it because it was renewed by the previous management company, so
Let's-
3 years. It's ADT, so.
We're under contract with that?
Can you check that contract?
Would you look into that for us, see if we can,
We'll check what Jarrett mentioned, and we'll have to check with insurance as well, as we may be getting a discount from insurance because we have a monitoring system. So we want to make sure that
Yeah.
the discount doesn't override.
And also, the contract is,
We'll check it out.
Yeah.
thank you. That's all I have.
So the access system here is irreparable also, is that where we're at with this?
The access system is working.
Can you make sure,
We're still only on one, if you have the motherboard slave or the master slave, one of them is still broken, so it is what it is. Because we didn't want to upgrade to a new system, so.
What do the virgin have to say about it?
We need a new system.
Recommended a new system.
yeah, last time we put it, but, yeah, got denied.
And if we're gonna get a new system, we might as well get the MyQ that works in conjunction with the gate.
Correct.
Anything
That's it?
else?
Anything? Anything,
So
just last,
There's no way to, never mind. Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
just one, yeah, quick, so we can close.
I have a question for landscape. For the contract of landscaping grading, what exactly outside of mowing the lawn, edging, weed, okay? So.
For houses?
Houses.
No.
We
that-
can't address the house.
That's HOA,
Yeah.
yeah.
2 weeks.
Or when we finish. Yeah, when we finish, we talk.
Yeah, well, I got three things. First one is, if you guys know, the lake, they have those pipes. I got to make sure how it's supposed to look like, how it's supposed to look like, and how it's looking now. This is the same. I don't know if it's Toho, I don't know if it's seeding, I don't know if it's us here with the lake, but it's a lot of grass in those pipes. The pipes are what suction the water, so we don't get flooded in the Lake Spirit, the Lake Spirit area.
You're talking about the light water.
I said, I mean, right?
So those are CDD by our maps there are, so.
It's covered by grass. And, it's a flat place, it's too hot. Okay, and then the second one is, I'm gonna talk to you, fix the name.
Them, Jason,
I'll give you my card, send it to me. And
They did the same thing to me.
Yeah.
My name was Mano.
Just shoot me an email with how you
Okay.
get it.
And the third one doesn't matter.
which one?
Doesn't matter, you know, it's something personal.
Everything, man. Oh, it's
Now,
personal.
it's personal, you know. We come here, we take our time, come here. And we're owners.
Mm-hmm.
We can go care of it. We can take the time for this and everything. We spare respect. But I know you guys want to have cycles. I know it. Tonight, it's that one heavy, push forward. Sometimes we're going to make comments about something. But I think addressing us as a shh is a respect. Especially me as a combat veteran, you told me here, but I think it's a one shot. You share it with me. I said, excuse me, I don't mind you chew me out and say, hey, excuse me, we're going to proceed, we got a sidebar, we can continue like this. I prefer it that way instead of shh, because I'm not a leader here, I'm a man. I don't come in here to get respect.
That's good, that's good.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
Keep that in mind. Thank you. Anything else?
Well, our next meeting then is November 14th. That'll be the public hearing, so we'll look for support on that.
I made a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's